Greetings and welcome, family, to another page of magnets, crystals, pyramids. Uncle Hanky, Uncle Rising Sun, here with you tonight on a cold New York Friday night with the beautiful Shakti goddesses surrounding our keynote speaker. I would just want y'all to know that our keynote speaker requested the Shakti goddess presence so that he is inebriated with healing energy as he projects the masculine message. And tonight's show is going to be awesome. But before we begin, let us start with the opening invocation. All right, here we go. Starting with our brother Baraka on the beach. He's not here tonight because he's somewhere on the
A call to action. The time is now. Summon the warrior energy in you, the healer in you, the divine masculine, the divine feminine energy in you. Every single day, we are called to walk in our purpose. Answer the call. Lay down your burdens, distractions, and anything that's holding you back and take your rightful place. The battle is all around us, and it's right in your face. Let's go!
okay. All right, we're going to do the opening to invoke our I am. We are in bodies, my brothers and sisters. We are in a spacesuit, a bio, electrical, chemical, carbon based spacesuit that holds out the consciousness of our being. So, the epicenter of our consciousness is our I am radiance anchored within our heart. So, to set the precedence of tonight's show, we do the acoustical invocation with sincere intention. I am in me. I am in you, the listening audience, now and in the future. We individually and collectively, in the name of love, call upon the sea of love that lives within each of us and in the midst of us. As I always say, this is one paragraph of your entire book of incarnations. This is perhaps maybe even a sentence of your total existence. So, in acknowledging the vastness, the quantum presence, the omnipotent existence of each of us as wave light particles, let's say together while holding our crystals, yes, I am forgiving all past lives, all souls in past lives. And I ask all souls in past lives to please forgive me. And yes, I am forgiving all souls in this life. And I ask all souls in this life to also forgive me. So we have to transcend this physical dream time to become dream masters. And we ask the ascended master presence, Shekama Bamba, Sheki Bafal, the latest Christ born in the Congo, Simeon Toko, gatekeeper, Mount Shasta, going into the hollow of the earth, Saint Germain. We ask that you be on this show. Nikolai Tesla, Sanat Kumara, Master Himalaya, Ascended Masters of Atlantis, Lemuria, the Ascended Masters within the Earth's hollow. We ask that you be on the platform. Melchizedek, Enoch, the Ethiopian who flew to the heavens and became Metatron, be with us tonight. Archangel Michael, surround all our family, friends, and loved ones, wherever they may be. Protect them throughout the night and day, throughout eternity. We ask Angel of Strength, Archangel Gabriel, be with us. We ask the Angel of Knowledge and Enlightenment, Archangel Uriel, be with us. The presence of all the Buddhas, Krishnas, be with us tonight. I ask the presence of Nat Turner, John Brown, Shroom Master, Dr. George Washington Carver, Shroom Master, Dr. Sabi, Shroom Master, Kalindi Aye, Harriet Tubman, Mary McLeod Bethune, Frederick Douglass, P.B. Randolph, be with us tonight. Sitting Bull, Chief Geronimo, Crazy Horse, be with us on this show. Great Divine Director, Imhotep, Ptahotep, Akhenaten, be with us. We invite you. South African Zulu Shaman, Credo Mutwa, we invite you. All the shaman warriors and sorcerers and our ancestors who assist in helping us to become dream masters within our Nuke Punuk, I am that I am. We welcome you to be with us. Elekba, Oshun, Yemaya, Olokun, Oya, Shango, Obatala, Ochosi, be with us tonight. For we are, I am, we are in the spirit of Ubuntu. Let this show begin. And we say together, Ashe, Aho, Wado, Amin, and so it is. And here we go. Okay, we got one person dropped out already. Oh, Autumn's back. All right, so let me have Logie in the middle. Logie, you go ahead and do your opening, my brother. Okay, hold on a second. Let me
I thought you just did it.
well, you got the mic. You can do what you want now, man.
Okay, can you hear me well?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Beloved mighty and present, great hosts of Siddha and Ascended Masters, great angelic hosts, great cosmic beings who govern the system of worlds and the seven mighty Elohim. Bless this program tonight so that the highest understanding and love be attained. I ask this in the name of my beloved mighty and present, Swami Muktananda Paramahanta, Bhagavan Nityananda, Guru Maha Chivilasananda, beloved Saint Germain, Lord Jesus Christ, and the great Sanat. And I thank you. Saguru Nav Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Namah Shivaya.
All right. But before we begin, Logie, I have to put this video uh, up that Miss Bliss put together because it was nice, man. And I got to convert it. So while I'm converting this, my brother Logie, could you give the family, because this is your first, I believe this is your first YouTube interview and the sharing of this show. Could you tell us what got you? Give us a little history of who is Logie? Who's Logie Selassie? And how did you get into all this metaphysical, esoteric, all this deep stuff you're going to share with us tonight? You know, who are you, bro? Tell us who you are.
Well, what really inclined me toward spiritual knowledge is, as a little boy, I'm having experiences all the time, and they frighten me. And some of them were like glorious and heavenly, and the others were not. So I didn't go to sleep, and in fact, I was afraid to go to sleep until I was 22 years old, living in India. I fell
Damn.
asleep, and that's what made me interested in. And when I was 10, I read this book, The Third Eye, by T. Langsharp Rampa. And so that really, excited my interest. And from there, I just started reading, studying, and just constantly still having these experiences. And but I'm living two lives. My father was a bootlegger. My grandfather was a gambler. So
Right
that
on.
genetically, that predisposed me to a hustler's life.
Mm.
And so that's what I was doing. I was hustling, and I had a, truth be told, I was a gangster.
All
And
right. Welcome to the club, brother.
and so I had a plan because I was living that type of life. So my plan was, if anything happened to me, um, this is the plan. And so I met a brother, and he said, look, the first guru you're gonna go to, because I wanted to check out the gurus because I had not experienced them. Um, First guru I was going to go to was a saint named Swami Muktananda. Then I was going to go out to this dude in Colorado, Oscar Chazo. Then going to a Buddhist place in California. That was the plan. And so as fate would have it, um, and I wasn't living a nice, lovely life. That wasn't what was happening. I was a gangster. That was
Mm.
the dark side. And uh, so I had a feeling, intuition was high because I'm hanging out in the Tree of Life on 125th Street with a Kanya Kekumba. And I just had a feeling something's about to happen. You're in this life, so you should expect at one point, it's going to catch up to you. So I had a plan. And my plan was go check out all the gurus that you wanted to see all your life, and get away. And so as fate would have it, the brother who was hooking me up with his name was Annibal. And, I had gone to him because we had a seminar with Kanya. And he was an astrologer. So I said to him, can astrology predict what's going to happen? And he goes, yeah, it can. And so I said, can you do an astrology chart for me? And in them days, I just picked up money. So I had a big briefcase full of money and stuff. And I go over his house, and he's doing the chart for me. He says, well, this, that, and the other, this is gonna happen to you. So we developed a relationship, but I never called him from my home or anything like that, just so, kind of like he's exclusive contact. And so as we got to know each other, I said, I asked you to do a transit for me to let me know what's happening so that, and you never did that. So he does the transit. And the transit says postponement of destiny, hospitalization, maybe death, all negative things, loss of all that you have. And so I said, wow, that doesn't sound good. So what's the opposite of that? And he says, fulfillment of destiny, travel, meaning of remarkable men, all these kind of things. And I said, that's what's going to happen to me. He said, but the transit is negative. I said, but I'm not negative. Even though I'm living this life, I'm not negative. And that's what's going to happen.
Wow.
And so he goes, then let's prepare for it to happen. Let's set up this thing so that, when it's about to come down, you out just like that. Meet me here, and we go from there. Spend the night with me, and that's the plan, right? So another thing had happened too. This cop that I knew, he was actually my partner's friend. I let him stay with us while he was getting divorced. So he says to me, we became friends, and he was cool. He got his life together and everything. And so he comes to me, he said, they're going to set you up. I said, they can't do nothing. My crew is tight. We love each other. We grew up from junior high school. Our crew is tight. Nothing like that's going to happen. Nobody is, nothing. They know that. So they're just going to pick you up, and they're going to put on that table what you hated and what you took out of the community, because they hated that you took it out of the community. And that was a kilo of heroin. And in them days, you got life for heroin. He said, they want you off the streets. And I'm like, I'm not on the streets. And they said, they want you in jail, Home Slice.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. So I went to my man straight away, enacted our plan. I was gone. I was gone before they could do anything. I disappeared.
Wasn't your destiny, brother?
No, it was not. And the
Well,
first
welcome.
place I went to was Swami Muktananda. And when I got to him, like the very next day, I was able to meet him in the darshan room, which is a room where, you have direct experience. And he says to me, and at that time, I called myself Kundalini, trying to be, a different name. And he looks at me, he goes, Kundalini, it was a good thing you came here for a month, right? But actually, that wasn't exactly how it happened. The first thing I did was I walked into the room where he was at, right? And I had an apple, because you give an apple to a great being when you're about to meet, when you meet him, because they always give you blessings. So you come with some kind of offering. And I had this apple. I bowed down in front of him. The first thing I saw as I walked in the room, he looked at me, just locked eyes with me, just like that. And from out of nowhere, the first thought came, the old familiar look. That was the first thought that just came in my mind. And he was working on me from that moment. I didn't know it then, but I realized it later on. And I sat down and I looked at this apple. It was this, little old apple. And I thought, dag, I'm probably going to get a lot from this guy. And I'm only bringing an apple. And I said to him, I said, Baba, I give you this apple, but it's really not enough. I give you myself. And he leaned back in his chair like this. He had his glasses on, and he does this. Those are very great utterances. And what he meant by that is basically, let's see. Now, I was in the martial art in them days. It's like I did the martial arts like I do my practices now, first thing in the morning. And I was like, a challenge? I didn't say this, but in my mind, a challenge? So you challenge me. Oh, I'm going to take that challenge. And it was set from then on. I didn't say that. This is what I was thinking. But he knew to say that because he knew I would take that challenge.
Wow.
So, he worked on me, and within 7 days, he put me in a God-conscious state.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, God. I mean, I don't know what to say about it. It was just, when you realize yourself as God, what else is there to realize? What else is there to experience? But now still, I'm a gangster coming into a godlike reality. I'm coming into a retreat, into an ashram. And it was basically white people who I didn't have much association with, and was not inclined to associate with them. They just weren't in my world. And then there was another critical factor too, humility. I knew what the word meant, but it wasn't in my reality. Humility was the last thing I was thinking of, or wanting to be. But being in the ashram, of course, that's one of the key factors as you are in the ashram. And the main reason that that the guru is focusing on humility, because humility conquers fear. The more humble you get, the more courageous you are. And as you go deeper and deeper into your meditation, there's some frightful things. The deeper you go, there's some frightful things. And you need to be humble and dependent on God to protect you, and God to save you, and God to, be your torchbearer and everything else on the spiritual path. And if it's not, you don't know what you'll do.
Yes.
You may get up and just run.
Wow. Well, that's a fascinating story, brother. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
That's keeping it real. As Brother Panic said last night, you sound like you're coming from the dark side of the force, my brother.
Boy, a Brother Panic was crushing the game last night. I thought I was listening to him, and I'm like, yo, he is crushing the game. Especially when he talked about the dark side. And how many years ago? 23 years ago, I had to really deal with the dark side.
Yeah.
And I had built up a real dark side. And it was really strong. And but then, of course, there's that loving side. You look at yourself only as the good, but others are looking at you as like, I don't want to mess with this person at all. And I had to have that, from the environment I came in. The world was not the same back in the 70s, 60s and 70s as it is now. Not the same at all. And I had a daughter, and her mother didn't want to put her in school. I wanted her in, and I didn't really want her in any schools. But I had picked out some excellent schools until I was ready to homeschool them. And she wanted to put her in a school. And I'm huffing and puffing, and my brother had just come off of his 30-year addiction reality. And he was into Islam and Allah and all like this. And he just so happened to be in my apartment at the time. And I'm getting dressed, huffing and puffing, and getting ready to blow the door down, anyway, that story. And I'm angry and I'm mad, and I'm I'm going to go over there. And my wife is going, Victor, I don't know what to do. And my brother's name is Victor. He's going to act crazy and go over there. And the next thing you know, he's going to be in jail and this and that. And, what can we do? And I mean, this blew my mind that my brother knew me so well. But my brother was one of my Huckleberry friends when we were kids. We were tight. We used to dream together. We were having these experiences together. And he said, don't worry, I know what to do. And as I was putting on my shoes, I came in the living room. Yeah, that's not going to happen. What makes them think they're going to be ruling over my child? All this kind of stuff. Bad man, right? And with calmest words, he came out his mouth and he said, Lalji, it's really a shame. You're more like mama than any one of us. And it was like somebody took a javelin and they took a running start and it went and threw it into my heart. And that actually came to my mind and went straight down to my heart. I said, oh, shit. And I covered my hands and I just sat down. I was ready to sit down and put on my shoes, but I just sat down because I knew it was true. I knew it was true. I was like, oh, my God, I never thought I was going to be anything like that. And I was like, oh, my God, I must have sat there for about, my wife was totally amazed. She was like, what the hell did you do? I could never get him to calm down anytime. And I was just like, oh, my God. All right. Now I'm telling this story to get to that dark side. And so, I realized, you got a lot of work to do, homie. You've been living with the guru for all these years. You've done that already. You've been traveling around hither and thither all around the world, literally, meeting gurus and carrying on. And Himalayas, everything I read and all of these exciting books I was doing. But still, the dark side was very, very strong. And I was saying to myself, I got to kill this. I got to kill it. And so I'm fasting now. I'm really going at it. And I'm telling the dark side, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to take you out. You know me. You going. All right. So I take an intensive up at the ashram in South Fallsburg in upstate New York. And I'm up there, we on a break, and I'm saying to the dark side, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. And all of a sudden, a voice started talking to me inside my brain. Now this is it's a grace of God, okay? But it wasn't God. It was the dark side talking to me. He says, you know, to be so smart, you're pretty stupid. Because if I'm a demon that exists inside of you, then I'm a spirit. And you know damn well you can't kill a spirit.
Exactly.
And then it said to me, he goes, what did I ever do to you? And that blew my mind. I was like, I had to examine, damn. What? He said, I was, no, he didn't say I was. He said, we got with you because you were going to change. You were going to become enlightened. And when you became enlightened, we would get enlightened too. Now he's giving me the understanding that he's not the only one inside, because there's other elements inside there, right? He said, my job was to protect you.
Wow.
And anybody that threatened your life, you thought because you was in the martial arts, as skinny as you was, that they was frightened and that's why they backed off of you. That wasn't why. They saw me. That's what he told me. This is what he was saying to me. And I mean, he gave me a conversation for 2 hours, you know, and he said, look, nobody's going to bother you. Nobody's going to do anything to you. He said, your problem was you brought me out unnecessarily and way too often. I know when to come out. You don't need to conjure me up, right? I was like, oh my God, what's happening in my brain? You know what I mean? What's happening? What's going on? Now I'm in the ashram. I know I'm safe. I'm in the ashram. And I got this entity talking to me in my brain. And I mean, he is dropping it. He's dropping it hard. He's telling me all these different things. I mean, he's kicking it. He ain't playing at all. He says, my job is to protect you. And anybody that comes next to you, they're going to see me. And they're going to back away.
Wow.
It wasn't because you knew the martial arts and you thought you was bad. They saw this. And I was like, wow. And he talked for me about 2 hours. And he said, he told me, I want to transform. I want to be right along with you, becoming God conscious. That's what I want. And all the rest of us do too. I was like, oh, Jesus, God, what's happening here? And as he left me, right, he said, and by the way, my name is Muad'Dib. And I was like, that's my middle name. And I was really like, I didn't know what to think. I really didn't know what to think, but I knew I was being talked to by an entity that I had put so much energy and power into. It was alive and conscious. The dark side, real dark side, right? Like this. Muad'Dib would be the type of person, he could kill you, and before your body hit the ground, his consciously laid at rest. So I'm like, okay, let me just deal with that's reality. Now, just so y'all don't get too scared, I never killed anybody. I was able to calm Muad'Dib, but there was a time. This was the first time I was like 19 that I really got the full magnitude of Muad'Dib. There was these guys, they were real bad men. And I was all in love with my first girlfriend, and I was, you know, this sweet kid that they didn't know because things had gone bad. I wasn't doing no hustling. I wasn't in the streets doing nothing like that. But the crew was still there, pretty much waiting on me, but I'm all in love. And they're like, what's happening with Lenny, man? And, you know, like this. And one of these guys liked my girlfriend. And he would try to talk to her. And she'd tell me, tell this guy to stop talking to me and everything. And nobody really knew this side of me because I was kind of like on a hiatus. And the brother of my girlfriend didn't like her sister boyfriend, and they wanted to start trouble with him, and they started trouble with him. And to give you an idea, the very reason why I'm telling this story is like when I said these were bad men, these were really bad men. They were 21, 23 like that. I'm 19 and or 18, and they would brag about the guys they raped in prison. You know, they would rob people and stab them even though they don't give them any trouble, right? This is how they were living. And they was not playing. You know, they were real desperados. And so one day they said, you know, he fought with this my girlfriend's sister boyfriend. And the mother was a sweet woman, and she was trying to keep them from beating him up and carrying on, because he wasn't that kind of guy anyway. And they just didn't like him because he was a simp, and they didn't like that. And they said, and I think they viewed me like that too, because I was real good to the mother. I was trying to be a nice guy with my girlfriend, and they left the house huffing and puffing, and they said, "We're going to get you, Greg," right? No, Reggie. "We're going to get you, Reggie." And then they said, "And you too, Lenny." Like, my name was Lenny at that time. And I was like, "Oh, wow, this is bad." Because these guys are killers. They're really bad men. And I called the crew. So my two of my first friends came, and two of my best friends came, and my partners. But they didn't want me even hanging out with the girl, because you're not rocking and rolling like we used to. You don't get no money now. And I said, "Yo," and I had told them about these guys before, and so they came with our equipment. No guns, but golf clubs and kind of like bats. Bats. And so they showed up at the door.
Accessories.
They showed up at the door, and they was like, "Yo, we gotta take care of this, because these boys gonna kill you." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And that was the first line of crew that came. It was only these two brothers, and we had gone outside, drank some Coke 45, so that we really, the spirits or the fear can really get into us. And they had came back, and we knew if I didn't get them at this time, they see me in the street, they gonna kill me. So they came out the house, but the mother came out with them because she didn't want no trouble. And as far as she concerned, I'm just a sweet dude that did everything she needed me to do. I'm telling you the story because this is the first time I got real width of Muad'Dib. And so we walked across the street to block them from coming out. And they talking a lot of mess, because it's only me and my boy, one of my boys. The other one was chicken. And the one is really big, and the other one is just really bad. And we let them know, "Hey, y'all can't go past this. We in the street, and the mother's in the front. Y'all can't go past this. This is where it starts. This is where it begins. Y'all don't know who I am, but tonight I'm gonna introduce y'all to Lord Yama." And they talking mess, bad. "Oh man, we're gonna take them golf clubs from you," and beat the bopper boom boom, all this stuff. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, and the mother's there. "Look, I don't want no trouble. I don't want y'all to get hurt like this." And she's serious. She's very serious, because she's thinking she's protecting me, basically. And then all of a sudden, the cab pulls up, and it just comes to strike. "Stop! That's them! Stop! Stop! Stop!" So now, another about 6 of our crew came, but these are badder men. When they was in jail, these were the guys that were controlling stuff. So all that bravado immediately dropped. I mean, you could see in their demeanor that, "Oh God, how could you even know these people?" And it was like, "Oh man." And so they just surrounded him. They said, "Okay, look, all right, Lenny, who you want to fight?" And I didn't want to hurt her son, because I loved her mother, my girlfriend's mother. And I pointed to him. So, "Come on, take it in the streets. It's going to be a fair one." And I mean, they were shaking. They were so scared, because they knew these guys from jail. And they knew they were running things in jail. And they had no idea this was my crew. And so we go on the street, and my boy Charles looks at me and says, "No, man, this nigga's way too big for you to be fighting. Let it be a fair one. Me and you, let's fight." So he's beating him up in the street, and nobody's really out too. It's just us in the street banging. Or rather, Charles and this guy banging. And it's real funny how you love people because of they're part of your adventure, because that's how I felt about this dude later on. And so they're in the street, but he's really scared, because he knows who he's dealing with. He knows these were the guys that was running things in jail, right? And he knows that that this is the end for the most part. This is the end. And they had a pipe too. The pipe was very thick. The pipe was like about that thick, and it was around, but it was hollow inside. But it was a really thick pipe. And his boy Greg and the mother was standing on the side watching this thing. and you can feel death in the air. You can feel somebody's gonna die tonight. And so what happens is I'm standing, we watching, his mother and Greg is standing on the side, who is her son. And he's in the street really getting beat down by the other brother, but he's not trying to fight him. And Charles is kind of getting frustrated with him, not fighting, not being the man that he professes to be, and or professed to be. And I stepped on the side and I looked at Greg and I said, he's going tonight. You know that. He's going. And the only reason you're not going is because of her. I pointed to his mother. They were standing together. And a funny thing happened. He said to me, he goes, thank you. And his mother said the same thing. She said, thank you. And Charles says, give me the gun, man. I'm going to chill. I'm tired of this. He's acting like a bitch now. He's supposed to be bad, man. And now he's acting like a bitch. Give me the gun, man. Take this nigga out right here. And everybody's saying, because they done did a bit already. All of them did so many bits. And they're not looking to go to jail. And I'm like, and so they stopped Charles. And I'm like, oh, no, nuh-uh. These niggas will kill me. No. They going. Tonight they going. And so he's crunched up by the car, standing up, looking at me. He knows he's about to die. And so I said, here it was. I never did nothing to y'all. I started no trouble with y'all. And y'all just picked on me because you felt you could. So I back kicked him. And I had this pipe in my hand. And the pipe was like at least 4 feet. I was so crazed at the time that if I hit him in the head with the pipe, when I kicked him, he bent down, he crunched down. When I kicked him, he was like, he bent down. And I was so crazed, I said, when I hit him on his head, his skull is going to pop open. And as soon as his brain pops out, I'm going to smash his brain with this pipe, right? This is Muad'Dib complete. Muad'Dib complete. I kicked him. I came back to come down on his head with the pipe. And my boy tackled me. He says, no, Lenny, you're going to kill him, right? And he tackled me down to the ground. Muad'Dib popped out of me. He popped out of me. And I'm like, I wasn't there. I was back into my real self, or my God self. And I'm like, what do you do? You're crazy. This will kill us, man. What are you, crazy? So Muad'Dib's come back in. We trace him up the block. And I'm telling this story because that was my first 18. That was my first realization of how it frightened, how Muad'Dib just frightened anybody that came in front of him, right? We chased him into a store. He gets in the store. The police, they call the police. It was a bodega. They call the police. So we get out because everybody's armed. And so we run this way, that way, and the other. The next day I came around the block where they hang with about 200 guys. And we surround the block and I was calling for them to come out. This is another thing too, how God was protecting me that night. I came back around there because they came back and they got Reggie, beat him down, beat my girlfriend up too. She was on her way to my house like a knucklehead. I'm going my way back over there. And they saw me in the street and I was alone and I didn't have a weapon. And God put into their mind, if he comes down, they was on the roof watching me come into the block. And I'm coming to the block unarmed. I'm just thinking, stupid, really. And God put this thought in their mind. In no way he gonna come down here and not be armed. So if we go after him, he's gonna shoot us. We're gonna shoot him. We all gonna be dead. Let this go. Dead in this, right? And then when the next day happened, they was like, "Who the hell is this dude?" Because there was no appearance of this what was behind me. And my brothers, they were so tired of me doing just being crazy like that. And it was like, this is the last time, Negro, the last time. And but I mentioned this story because these were real bad men. And when they saw Muad'Dib, they were frightened. They had never seen that side of me, and they was real frightened. So when I was talking about I'm gonna kill this demon, I'm gonna get you out of me, I was real serious. And I just really was tired of being like that. Because it was an aspect of my mother. And I was like, oh man, if that's how you look, homie, you're in real trouble. And so this is what happens later on. And this is really deep because I consider this the grace of God. I had an argument with my wife and she took the car and run off because I was going to take the car and run off, but she took the car and run off. So I had to stay at home. And so I said, Muad'Dib, I thought you wanted to transform. And he says to me, why you got to blame yourself for this bitch acting like this all the time? Why you think that because she acts like this that it's your fault, right? And Muad'Dib, that really wasn't his thing. He says, you know, I said to him, I said, but I thought you wanted to transform, and I thought you wanted to transform. And he said, he started crying. I mean, oh my God, oh my God. He started crying. So I'm hearing this entity cry in my head. I mean, it was so deep and so hard. Even now, it you know, it makes me, it hits me hard. He goes, Lalji, I want to transform, but you don't love me, and I can't transform without your love. So, gosh, up.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God. It was like my son said this to me. I was like, oh God, Muad'Dib, I'm sorry. You know, I said, I'm sorry. You know, I did not mean. I almost thought you wasn't really real. I'm sorry. No matter what happened from this point on, I'm going to love you. If you go to hell, I'm going to hell with you, and I'm going to love you in hell. I'm not going to make this mistake again. I'm not going to make this mistake again. I'm going to love you like my guru loved me. And that's going to be it. That's it. No matter what you do, no matter who you are, if you kill somebody or got to go to jail, that's what's going to happen. That's going to be it. And after that, Muad'Dib merged. I never heard from him again. Muad'Dib merged, and a lot happened. You know, it was like I just let people start doing things to me that I would never let people do. And then like Muad'Dib, he was like quiescent. He was like inside, it's like merged. And
Wow.
yeah, you know, and I consider that the grace of God, you know, because I don't know anybody else that had their demons talk to them.
Wow.
And it was like, it was a real blessing. It was a real blessing, you know.
That's fascinating, brother. Thank you for sharing that, man.
Yeah, so
That's a great story. That sounds like a movie.
Yeah,
It sounds like a movie, Logie.
for
it's in my
real.
book.
The title, Demons Need Love Too.
In order to transform.
Yeah,
In order to transform.
Yeah.
absolutely. That's amazing story, bro. Straight talk.
That's just one of them. That's just
That's just one
That's
of
just
them.
one of them? Oh my God.
Oh, there's many more. And all of them is more frightful, much more frightful.
Legions.
And you know what? I'm glad you shared this story because I have a brother who's now an ancestor. And when he was little, he told me, he said, Daddy, I'm God. And my dad didn't know how to handle it. And he said, You're not God. And my brother said, If I can't be God, Daddy, I'm going to be the devil.
Whoa.
And Lenny, my brother Lenny, lived, thrived on the dark side of nature, where his associates looked at him in awe. And here your name is Lenny too.
Right.
So this is a Lenny Friday night.
Yeah.
Salutation. Salutation.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Really
know.
interesting.
Yeah. Straight talk.
So, you know, as I'm in the ashram, right? I'm living in the ashram, and I'm dealing with these white people who they dealing with me like somebody they know on TV. They don't know any black people. They know what they see on TV. And I'm like, you know, they're talking to me like, like, you know, I'm not used to being talking to, and I'm like, I know my guru felt like, oh, I'm gonna get a lot of egos with this dude here, you know, because he's not respecting nobody but me in this ashram, no matter who they are. But in India, you know, they got a whole different concept of how they're gonna treat a black person. You know, they'll do like that, you know, for you to come to them. And what I would do is like go to them like real fast and go, what does that mean? Would you address the guru like this? And these are big people. These are multimillionaires and trustees of the ashram. And I'm saying, don't ever address me like that again in your life. So this is what I'm bringing into the ashram, you know, trying to conform. But I'm with the guru, and I love the guru. To me, the guru is God. The guru is my mighty presence, right? And the guru knew that's how I felt. And they would come to him complaining. And then he would go, who are you talking about? That guy from New York? Oh, leave him to me. Don't mess with them people. Them people, they don't take no mess. I mean, Baba was not an ordinary guru at all. He was like the guru's guru. That was his
Wow.
reputation. He was the guru of other gurus. And they came to our ashram too, and we saw these real gurus, right? These Christ-like men, God men. And so as I was in the ashram, you know, initially I was in the dorm where, you know, a bunch of guys, you know, stayed. And 2-3 beds over from me, this guy got supernatural powers. And I'm like, and he's not a full guru, you know, he's another guy. And I'm like, so how is this? So I started intensifying my sadhana, you know, my spiritual practices. I mean, I'm going hard. Waking up 2 o'clock in the morning, going to bed 4 o'clock. I mean, going to bed 10 o'clock. I'm going hard. And I'm trying to figure out, well, how do I get the supernatural powers? How do I, you know? And so I'm really being austere, very austere in the ashram. And it just, you know, I was just burning with this concept of how do I become like that? And this guy's sleeping 3-4 beds over there. And then there's another guy over here and another guy over there, and they gathering powers. You know, they doing at their side like nobody's business, and they got powers, right? And they're not displaying them. I just see them. A snake bits a girl in the ashram, one of the, like what they call Adavasis, a nigga name for Indians, right? And the guy just goes over and he says a mantra and he just pulls the poison out of her like this. He says the mantra, just pulls it, like his hand is like, you know, boom, boom, boom. He's just pulling that poison out of her. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? And so I started really studying, well, what is it to become a God, man, woman? What do you really got to do? It's got to be more than just what I'm doing here, right?
Mm.
And so I discovered it. The key to having a high propensity of wanting to be God-like was your parents was God-like. It all started with their parents.
Wow.
And I got I had the grace to actually find out what Jesus's grandparents did, right? And Anna and Imran was their name. So they prepared for 12 years being celibate, only ate food that they grew, and there was also in the Essene ashram that they lived in. And their plan was to bring down the Messiah. That was their plan, because they were being, you know, crushed by the Romans. So they said, we're going to bring the Messiah in. We're going to actually go through the process of bringing in the Messiah. And so they did all the things that we did in the ashram. Only thing their plan was to bring down the Messiah. So in order to, if you want to have a godlike being, start becoming godlike. Because now what you're doing is you're contacting your spermatozoa and your DNA, and you're infusing it with godlike power, right? Now, this is a 3-generational process. And you see this thing like, if you see a musician, if here you got a musician, they have a child, that child is a musician, the third child is a prodigy. He's a genius in this thing. And we see it all the time, we're just not looking at it. But when you're talking about a process, right? When you're talking about a process, what they call in the Vedic system, Garbhadam Samskara, bringing in the Christ, right? It's totally different, because you're waking up, you're literally in the process of waking up the DNA. You're praying to God and the gods to waking up the DNA for this godlike being you're planning to bring down. So they did their process, and they had Mary, and of course they trained her. They trained her to be this godlike being. And she was then the pure vessel to give birth to Christ. So not only is he living in a family of great light, he has a high propensity of being spiritual. Now, here's another secret that most people have never heard of. Saint Germain was Joseph. So he was making sure that he was watching over this baby who's going to be Christ, right? Now, they say he's the godfather, but my research indicates and it could have been immaculate. I wasn't there. I only know what I researched, right? And I come to realize after studying so deep, you know your experiences. You don't know what somebody else read, no matter what it is. You believe these things, but you know what you experienced directly. everything else, even though it may be true, you don't know until you experience directly. So I know what I experienced. That I know, right? So so Saint Germain could have been the father of Jesus. Don't know, because they say Jesus was immaculately conceived. Don't know, but he could have been the father. But we know who Saint Germain is, right?
Okay.
And he was watching over the family to make sure nothing happens to Jesus. And, you know, of course he could. And we're talking about 2,000 years ago.
This is very interesting, Brother Logie. You know, uh, we looking at time wise. I want to pull up for a second because we got to have you come back on this platform, man. Family, Brother Logie, I think you have a book, man, from gangster to guru. That was the book title that came to me while I was listening to you. This is a book that you share from gangster to guru. So this is tonight's show, family. I want to show you the flyer. 4 types of men and women. Heaven, hell. Which one are you? This is our brother Logie who's going to break all of this down. The 4 types. I want to give a special thanks to Miss Bliss. I was calling her earlier Bliss Oshun because she put together for you, Logie, and for the listening audience a very beautiful video as a promo. And I want to play that right now because Miss Bliss has you know, she's a busy goddess. Now let me make sure I pulled up the right video. And here it is right here. I could see a movie coming from Miss Bliss.
Stay tuned.
And before we go on, I just want to thank.
Thank you.
I want to thank the Shakti goddesses, the Shakti sisters, who are present tonight. Give an acknowledgement to Khadija, Emilola, Salika, Autumn, Salam, Miss Bliss, who I call Miss Bliss Oshun.
Don't forget the babies.
Oh yeah, show the baby, show the baby, show the babies. The babies are looking beautiful tonight.
They
Future,
sure
the future Jedis. Look at him. He looked like he wants to get into something. Yeah. And so, without further ado, Logie, you got.
So the reason I was telling that
house.
story is so as I got deeper and deeper into the information, I realized the key to this is the mother.
Oh, sorry.
The key to this is the mother, right? And so as because the father can do his thing, but the big part of this and the big part of any nation, period, or any nation building is the women. And in the Mahabharata, they used to tell you when they would go to conquer other governments, the first thing they would do is send spies into that government to see the nature of the women. Wow. And if the women were the whores of Babylon, they went in and just took over, right? And so I started putting parts of it together. And I wrote this book, and I'm going to tell you, I forgot I wrote it. I went on to the other story, and I forgot I wrote it. I went on to doing the trilogy. I forgot I wrote it. And so one of the key things that came out of the Sufi message of Hazrat Inayat Khan, but now he's a Muslim, but he's mixing Islam and the Vedic systems together. And he came up with these, he says the Vedics, they have this type of women and type of men.
Oh, here we
And
go.
he puts it so poetically. I want to read it to y'all. All right.
All right. We're getting down tonight, y'all. Mm-mm.
Because you
Buckle
can
your
easily
seatbelt.
see which type of women you can build with and which type of women that will destroy you. Not only that, and of course, we got the men too. We're going to get to them. But not only that, what type proliferates in our society right now? These 4 types. We're going to start with the men. With men, there is an idealist in love. He loves beauty in the opposite sex. His love is motivated by her, his ideal. He dreams of her because she fits into his imagination of the ideal. Her beauty sustains him. It is as if it is food. And when that food is no longer served, his love dies. When she ceases to be the ideal in his imagination, his heart no longer wants her. Then we have the artist in love, a talented man, excessively particular, critical, demanding, hard to please, but affectionate in the extreme. He hides his attention from the one he cares for the most and has a casual relationship with the one who cares for him the most. He is looking for beauty in everything he sees. He loves beauty and grace, a woman that reminds him of a beautiful sculpture or picture or concept of something in perfection will capture his heart in a minute. Cultured and sometimes indelicate, he is attracted to beauty and grace. He is keenly responsive to words of art or workmanship, exquisite statues from the Renaissance, beautiful music, and beautiful women, especially one who is refined in manners, in grace, and in speech. That's the second type. Third type. The third type of man sees a woman as a life support system for a vagina. He has one objective, to get her in bed. In regards to loving a woman, it will be based on sex alone. He is challenged emotionally. He has no interest in a woman other than to satisfy his lust. Unfortunately, in present day society, this is the playboy. Word to the wise. Keep away from this. Keep him away from your daughters. The fourth type of man is coarse and violent. He has no feeling for or sanctity of womanhood or woman. He is awkward, clumsy, unmannerly, lacking grace in any form, discourteous, rude, disagreeable, passionate, and lustful toward women. He enjoys hurting women, and he will not stop at actively inflicting suffering if it serves his purpose. That's the fourth type.
Wow. So,
We have another most rare type of man. He is he is he is a one-woman man. He is kind and sympathetic to all. Once he loves a woman, he cannot imagine another woman in his life. His wife is secure in his love and never has cause for jealousy. He sees her and her alone, and everybody knows it. He is independent, industrious, protective, and honors his mate. He would do nothing that he thinks would hurt her. She is his life. When he departs this world, he patiently waits for her at death's door so they can walk into heaven's gate together. This is a very rare man. Look for him.
that's deep, brother. That is deep.
Everybody looking for him. He can have a couple of wives, hopefully.
Let me tell you, Logie, you read the life that my brother led. He really had only one love in this lifetime. My brother Lenny. I've seen that.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I've seen it. And
Yeah.
I'm talking about over decades. So this is very revealing. And he's in the afterlife right now.
I
But
was lucky.
yeah.
Yeah. Lalji, you've actually read quite a few that I've already met, friends, family, associates, etc. But my brother was just like that too. He had one wife until they both passed away.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. When she passed away, he wouldn't even take another woman. He just, for years, we encouraged him to flirt, to date. When she passed away, he wouldn't date another woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
That's a rare type of man.
Now, what kind of men on the planet right now are the ones that are most common?
I think the words that I just spoke is axiomatic. You know, they're rife in our society, and but I need to take that back a little bit, because the truth is, you have far more than you would expect. Now, in a minute, I'm gonna read the type of women. There's 4 type of women, although there's 5 type of men. There's 4 type of women. That is a rare man, but the woman that will complement him is even more rare, because the women are not the older sisters, and of course, none of y'all here are that, right? They're not giving the younger sisters any good advice at all. They're giving them destructive advice. And the women don't look to the men for advice. They look to other sisters for advice. And the sisters are misguiding the women like nobody's business in the worst way. And if we're going to heal, we're going to have to check ourselves on both levels. All the criticism, condemnation, judgment, blame, we're gonna have to throw that right out the window and get down to the nitty gritty and start saying, okay, look, this is what it got to be. Let me read this before I go into that, because there's so much here, man. There's so much here. I forgot I wrote this.
Yeah,
Nonetheless,
you need to make that available, bro, because
yeah,
the farm is running amok.
yeah,
Folks are
yeah.
acting out, and
The whole
there's
purpose
no
of writing,
direction from the elder sisters, and not directing the younger sisters. The older brothers are not directing the younger brothers. There's hardly little to any rites of passage for men. What to do. There's
yeah,
hardly any rites of passage for women. Women aren't being taught how to be a wife. Men are not being taught how to be a husband, protector.
mm-hmm.
It's all broken.
It's broken.
So that's why I wanted you to be on this show so that we can come up with collective remedies.
Let me go into before I move on to other topics in this book. I want to deal with the 4 type of women, and I want everybody to understand. I got into this to solidify, to codify, to really get into. So how are we going to bring down the God man, the God woman? That's the whole purpose of this. The God man, the God woman. How are we going to get there? How are we getting to that? That's what this is about. All right. All right. In the Vedic system, there's 4 type of women: Padmani, Chatrini, Hastani, Shantani, and Hastani. We're going to read about Padmani now. Padmani is the heavenly woman. Men look for her all their lives, but alas, she is extremely rare and difficult to be found among womankind. Yet she does exist. She is beautiful in the extreme, delightful, elegant, and graceful in her carriage. She speaks in a soft voice filled with light and love. She is sweet, gentle, and modest. Her natural companions are women, and they love her company. She is admired by them. Among she is admired by them. Among men, she is a heavenly creature, and all want to protect her. To begin a relationship with a man is a venture for her. She is wise in her choice of a man, and once her heart is given, it is his for a lifetime. To him, she is an angel on earth. To see her conduct herself with him is a thing of beauty, gentle and sweet, kind, unassuming, and thoughtful. He would do anything for her because her devotion to him. He smiles. Her smile for him, simple and pure, is valued as a precious gift. Her look carries the thought and feeling to him that he is loved. To see her love and devotion to her chosen mate is a sight to behold. It could be called the way to be loved. No one would ever doubt her love for him. To her, he is a God. She is the storehouse of virtue. She is intelligent and modest, brave and shy. She is patient as the earth, focused and determined in thought, and moved by all that is beautiful and captivating. There is an appropriateness to her behavior. She loves order. She has a respect for the elderly. She is patient and firm when difficulties arise. She is self-denying and unassuming throughout all. Everything about her is filled with grace and beauty. When expressing her affection to her beloved, she is a heavenly nymph. Her face, her features, her glance, every movement, and a word is an expression of the ideal of love. Rarely does one ever see a Padmini in life, and the man who gains her heart is on par with the king of the gods.
Wow.
Now, this is Padmini. All right. Now, the second type of woman is Chatrini. Then there is Chatrini. She is beautiful and intelligent. She can be happy among women, but she prefers the company of men. She is sweet and affectionate, and in return needs to be loved. Her voice is melodious and oftentimes like poetry. She is refined and graceful, skilled in manners, and charming in expressing her likes and dislikes. She loves only one man, but her demeanor may lead another to believe he can win her love also. At times she is vain, but generally modest. At times she is bold. At other times she is aloof. She enjoys a hiding seat with her beloved. A slight movement of the shoulder, a raised eyebrow, a naughty glance will convey her mood as no word can. She is always affectionate and wins her lover over and over again. She is controlled by him, at times controls. She allows him to feel she is his, and at times she does not need him. She is the jewel of his heart. She is not as idealistic as Padmini, but yet still a good woman. The third type of woman. Now we come to Shankani. In these days and times, she says she is strong. She is a strong woman, but in fact, she is rude and disrespectful. She is tough, rough, and determined, repulsive in her likes and dislikes, desperate to get what she wants at any cost. Her heart is gained in a moment if her passions are inspired. She changes quickly from one lover to another. Men are her obsession, but the love of one man has no meaning or value to her, nor could she hold for her part a man for any length of time. She is forward in her expressions. If she sees a man she likes, she will approach him like a common prostitute. She is emotional, unbalanced. She has no friends among women, and women fear her. She is ungainly in figure, unbalanced in mind. Her friendship has no value. Today, you are a friend. Tomorrow, she talks about you behind your back like a dog. Then we got the fourth type of women.
Damn.
Then we have the fourth type of woman, Hastani. She is vulgar, greedy, impulsive, and vicious. Her voice, demeanor, courage all show that self-indulgence and lust predominates her life. She does not form any loving attachments in life, and she will break a thread of affection with a mean or angry word or hasty feeling of displeasure or disagreement. Her actions are out of sync. There's a way about her that is inappropriate. Women fear her, and her ways keep them on guard and at a distance. She does not appeal to women, nor does she prove a pleasant and lasting mate to her own man.
Man,
I thought the other one was bad. She the worst one.
Yeah,
I know a couple of those women.
Only a couple, huh?
Because I stay
that's
away.
in the hood. I mean, this sounds like you describing the hood, man.
I stay away.
Prison planet Earth. Prison planet Earth.
No, it's kind of like the demon story. They just need love too.
Yeah,
okay. Well, nowadays she's getting a lot of love because unfortunately what the older sisters are telling the younger sisters is be like a man. Get out there, do your thing, bump, get it, not realizing for 1 minute
I
The
am.
relationships are to build families.
I just have to clarify that I am not a man. I don't want to be a man. I don't want to act like a man. None of that. I mean, that's
Thank
just
God.
Okay.
ain't happening. Sorry.
Okay. Glad to hear it. So glad.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it too. I mean, I'm scared after I heard them last two. I'm like, shit, I'll stay home all the time.
Oh, you know a couple of those. I saw
Yes,
them
I
around
do.
you. I know.
Oh, God knows I do.
I,
Oh,
I taught this
man.
to my sons at a very early age, right? One of them just is clueless. He doesn't get it at all. He's a bump, get it, playboy. I don't know what the hell he got. He could just look at a woman and there she goes. She's just off with him. And I mean, the finest woman and oh God, the other one, the other son, my youngest son, his name is Barada. He was wise. He was a gift to me. I know he was a gift to me because I was super, super sad when my guru passed away. And so he brought him back. He passed away October 2nd, and my son was born on October 2nd. And my son, you know, as soon as he came out the womb, of course, we had him in a birthing center, not in the hospital. And as soon as he came out the womb, he locked his eyes on me straight away. And so I took him and I dedicated him to a God. You know, we had the whole birthing center surrounded with pictures of the guru and God, so that the first thing that he saw would be a picture of God. And so I took him, dedicated him to God at that very moment. And even with the umbilical cord and the placenta, all that was still on him. And he was a very different child. And just to show you how the process works, because of course I'm following the process that I'm telling you about right now, right? By the time he was 3, and he was taught in the womb, so the greater teachings, and I knew more, so he got more as he was in the womb. So we put tapes on my wife's womb of Guru Gita, powerful chants, mantras all the time. You know, just constantly playing chants all the time, constantly playing on the womb while he's in there, and plus math, physics, history, this, that, and the other, all while he's in the womb. All this while he's in the womb. And there was a reason for that, and perhaps we'll get to that in a minute. So him, at 3 years old, he comes to me and he says, you know, Dad, can I ask you a question? And I go, sure, of course. You know, what is it? And he stands next to me, you know, that high. And he goes, are you telling me that the conscious self within is God? Now, he prefixed that by saying, I've been thinking about this for a long time. Then he goes, are you telling me this? And I looked at him and I go, so the process is working. You know, I didn't say that out loud. And, you know, I tell him, so you got it, you know. And the way he lives his life, if you're his friend, you've been picked like as far as girls that's around him, they're Padminis. As far as guys that's around him, you know, they're strong, intelligent. They are on their dean. They're doing what they need to do. Yeah, I mean, it's like he's picking his friends to be in a movie. So I was homeschooling him. I had him in this program, and he comes home one day. He was 4 now. He says, Dad, I know what I want to do in life. And I look at him, I smile, I go, so what is that? I'm going to be a filmmaker. And so, you know, that's what he's doing now. And he's 25 now. And he attracts girls, you know, magnetically too, but nobody can get in his circle. If you're not a Padmini, you will not get in his circle. Wow. And he's real clear about that. And as far as men go, if you're not on the dean, if you don't have a certain character, you will not be his friend. And so he's real good at that. His brother is not, you know, real good. He's the playboy. His brother is one of these other type of men that I read, right? I would say keep him away from your daughters until he matures. But so what is this about? What are we really talking about? These type of men, these type of women. Right now, America, where we live, our land, because most of us have India in our family, you know, we trace our lineage back. We're from here. We're not from Africa, right?
Facts.
Yes.
So what is it about? We know that they're trying to kill us. The whole world really knows this. And what we're going to do, like the buffalo, You know how they killed off the buffalo to kill the Indians? They would shoot all the buffalo on the periphery of the herd. And none of the buffalo would run because they saw one drop or die, you know, and until they worked down to the whole herd into the middle of that herd and killed them all because they did nothing. As long as you kill the ones on the outside of the herd, you can kill a whole herd. If you shot one in the middle of that herd, it would run. It would disperse. The buffalo would disperse. But this is how they took away our food, right? Because that was one of our basic staples, the buffalo. Isn't that what's happening now? I thought that the drug trade was to get the whole of us, but that wasn't exactly the main objective of the drug trade, right? Bringing the drugs into our community in the 60s like they did. And the main objective of the drug trade was to get a certain type of man. That was their main objective. This guy was going to be, he's going to be a leader. He's going to be, in truth, he's going to be an operative. Only thing, he has no training. And still, he could deal with CIA or FBI or this one and that one. He is a dangerous man. He's a leader. And he protects the community. He's a gangster. Only thing most gangsters don't know is they have the same profile of a Malcolm X CIA agent, okay? There's two sides of him. Only difference between him and a CIA agent is he don't have any training and he don't have a force behind him. He creates the force in front of him, okay? The main thing they wanted out of the black community was Malcolm X types. And if y'all remember, Malcolm was a gangster when he was coming up. When he went to jail, he found Allah. He found his guru, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Malcolm was a gangster, right? Yep. I got another frightful story to tell you. It wasn't so frightful, actually. You know, like when I was young, I had already got busted. By the time I was 12, I got arrested 5 times, right? So that's a profile right there. And but I'm the only one to get busted. We used to rob these trains, right? These long trains. They went for miles. They would have all kind of stuff in it. And we found this train with police equipment, army equipment, swords and guns and ammunition and all this kind of stuff. And we broke the seal, opened up the thing. It's like, look at what we got now. I mean, we really hit payday, right? But here comes the railroad guard. So we all scatter and run. But they had called the police. So if we run down any parts of the thing, this was living in the projects over by Buckner Boulevard in the Bronx, right? Where there was nothing but factories over there. And we hit so many of those factories. And then we would sell the goods to other people in the factories, in the other factories. All right. So I come down one side alone. There's the detectives. They got me. I'm like, oh, man, they got me. So they wanted me to tell on my friends. And my brother was one of the guys that, you know, we was robbing this train. And so they got me inside the detective cars. They were detectives, you know, suits and all that. And so, you know, they hit me. And I'm like, okay. Then they start beating me up in the car. Now I'm 12, and I wasn't a big 12. I was a little kid. You know, I was a little guy. And so they was working their thing. They was kicking my behind. Then one of them hit me in the temple. Bam, right? I'm in the front seat, and I turn around, I jerk around, and I look at him. I said, you get me, and you want me to tell on my friends? And I looked them dead in the eyes, and I go, no. I've been beat before. Y'all just got started. They looked at me like they saw a ghost. I mean, both of them looked at me like they saw a ghost because they had beat men and the men broke. I'm 12 years old and I'm not big, right? They said, look, you stay there. Both of them got out the car. They had a conversation. They talked for 3-4 minutes. You know, I'm sitting there, might have even been 5 minutes. They come back into the car and they said, you know what, kid? We like you. And I know why they liked me, because they understood that I was going to let them kill me. I was not in them. Each time they hit me, I've been more shut mouth. All right. So what they did, and I'm telling you this because I'm telling you how they're coming after us. They took me, they asked me all questions. I answered the questions as long as it pertained to me. And they asked me a couple of questions about my friends. I just shut up. They didn't hit me no more. They just let it go. He's not going to tell us. He's going to let us kill him. And we're not going to kill this kid. All right. And they drive me home. I was praying my mother was not on the steps. And they let me off in front of my house. And they said, look, kid, try to stay out of trouble, all right? And I said, okay. They leave. I'm thinking I'm free. They let me go. Wow, that was really nice. They let me go. 6 months later, they sent a letter to my house saying, Miss Mills, bring your son to the 40th precinct in the Bronx. We need to have a conversation. What these two guys did was they went and they did a profile. They did a dossier on me. They went to my schools, found out I was an A student. They found out that I had a gang, and I'm 12. They found out, they would talk to the people in the neighborhood, and they found out he's a nice guy, to this, to that, to beep, papa, boom, all of this, right? Then they called my mother into the thing. Oh, so when they went to the school, they found out that I was going to be put into the space program, the American, the equivalent to the Sputnik thing, right? Now, I'm telling y'all this for a reason, right? So when they take me to the precinct, they said, your son is not in any trouble now, but we need to tell you what we see going to happen. And they said, look, your son is 12 and he has the profile of a public enemy. He's going to grow up to be a gangster. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. He's going to be beep, papa, boom. Right? That's when they said he's very intelligent. Teachers speak highly of him. He's their best student. He's an A student in the school, and he has a gang. And he's been arrested 6 times. And my mother goes, no, he was only arrested 5 times. And they say, well, the 6th time we let him go. They said to her, if he lives to be 18, it's going to be a miracle. But if he lives to be 21, we're going to have to kill your son. Let me repeat that. They didn't say if I did something, they're going to have to kill me. They said from the profile, we're going to have to kill your son. All right? Especially in the 60s when things were going on like they were going on, they had an understanding who they do not want to be confronting in America at the time, because stuff was real bad. Black people had decided, yo, it's over, y'all. It's over. We're going to battle with y'all in any way we can. That was the 60s. Hank, you know what that's about. All right. Yeah. Then they said to my mother, but there's something else about your son. There's a good aspect about him. He could be somebody of good for the community, even the country, right? And they look at me and they go, look, Leonard, are you into any sports or anything like that? I said, yeah. My martial arts teacher saw me in the street and he told me I was a martial artist, and I just started practicing with him. He's teaching me this style of fighting called Muay Thai. And this before Bruce Lee came out. And they go, what is that? I said, it's like a Chinese kind of like karate, it was Kung Fu, right? And they looked at each other and they was like, oh my God, man, this is a destiny just waiting to happen. This is just going to be a terror. All right. Everything they said came true. And I was real slick. My parents were into this. So, I was basically a criminal genius. And so I was ahead of them for a year. And they was coming down on me, but I had everything hooked up for us. I'm living 2 lives. I'm living a spiritual life and I'm living this gangster life. And when the time came, instead of just trying to hide out of this or that, I'm hiding out with the guru. Now, this is a worse situation, y'all. This is a worse situation because this is the worst thing we want to happen. How many guys in our community are like that? Just like your brother. Right? Mm-hmm. He just didn't meet the guru. And there are so many. The main reason that they implemented the drug epidemic in our community was to get those guys and lock them up or kill them. I was lucky. I got away. And I went with the guru. And from the frying pan into the fire, because he took me and that's when he said to me, it's a good came here for 30 days. Because if I had not, I would have probably been dead. And I stayed with him. He showed me so much love. I was like, I'm never going to leave you. As long as you're alive, I'm going to be with you. In the meantime, things had happened. Like I said, I went to bed at 10. I woke up at 2. and I had a physical breakdown for working so hard for the guru, right? And I went to him and I said, can I study astrology? He said, no. Now, I had stopped reading and studying. That was kind of like my life. I just always read. I was a bibliophile to the max. And but once I heard that Baba didn't like it, I stopped reading at all. I just did work, the chants. I did every program. And I worked at least 16 hours a day. I did every program. And I slept 4 hours a day if I could sleep. And that was a frightful experience until he told me how to deal with these demons that would come attack me at night and how to deal with them. But that's another story. He says, what I want you to do is I want you to study God. And I was like, oh, so you don't want anybody to read here and be into study reading all the time, but you want me to study God. So I went and got this book, right? And I came back to him the next day to bless him. Then he goes, oh yeah, this is it. This is what I want you to do. You study God. You know, it was a scripture, right? And so basically he gave me the grace to study all the scriptures. And this is when I got into finding out how all these men became God-like men, or they would give birth to these God-like children. And that's what got me into studying this. And I thought, you know, especially after the guru passed away, I thought, so how can I benefit our people? What is one of the ways that I can benefit our people? Because they got us pretty much, you know, captured, right? And I said, look, it makes no sense to be warring with them because they got war on a whole nother level. Now they're going to other planets, unbeknownst to most people. They're taking over other worlds. So their technology is so advanced now. The only way to deal with them is to become God conscious in mass. And I thought to myself, imagine if we could have
Lalji, I just want to say,
thousands.
just 1 second, brother. Miss Bliss, thank you. Thank you for being on the platform tonight.
Yes.
She's got to go.
Yes. Thank you for calling me, Logie. And I look forward to looking at the rest of the video. Your stories are like, whatever you do, package them up, make it a big deal. And it's definitely a trilogy of movies. Yeah, very interesting, very interesting, very entertaining story.
Yeah,
Thank
from
you for being
guru,
here.
from gangster to guru, man. That's a book, brother.
Exactly.
From gangster to guru. I'm telling you.
Thank you for being here.
All right.
Yeah.
Good night. Good night,
Thank
guys.
you, Miss
All
Bliss.
Good night. So I got deep into going for putting this package together. And everybody said to me, you should be in relationship, my wife especially, you should do relationships. I was coaching, business coaching. You should be in relationships and, you know, teaching relationships. But that's just in what I want to do. I couldn't see that making money. And so I got deep into the study of, so how do we do this? How do we do this? How can we get this information out to the vast majority of people in our community for them to understand we can switch everything around. Jesus was one man, right? He was one man, and his effect on the world is still here. What would happen if we could bring down thousands of men and women like this to affect the earth? What would happen then? The game would be over. The game would be completely over. We would conquer them and their crap through love because they're weak in love. They're strong in war. Their power is in war and hate and dissension and so forth and so on. So as I was putting the program together, man, there's so much here, Tank. There's so much here, and I want to get to it. As I was putting the program together, I realized using a Willie Lynch syndrome, a Willie Lynch technique on our women to bring down the whole of all of us. I only understood the whores of Babylon. You want to say something, Hank?
I said facts. Absolutely true.
Yeah. And so it's only that I understood what they meant by the whores of Babylon when Babylon fell. They got the women. The more educated we are, the more they'll have us believe that Satan is not a real person and so forth and so on. But now I'm in the Masonic order. They brought me in the order because they knew that I had read all the scriptures around the world, right? And that I was on the path and like that. And So I asked one of the brothers in the order, I'm saying, what is this stuff about? In fact, it was Hannibal. What is this stuff about, you know, when you get to the third degree that you worship Lucifer? He said, that's a high-powered question, but what you got to do is read the Yazidis. All right? That's all he said. Now, I can only say that to you, and I can only say that because you're in the order. You're a Master Mason at this point, and so that's all I can say. So you got to find out the rest on your own. So, of course, I went and brought the Yazidis. The Yazidis is a scripture. The Yazidis is a scripture that all the other, not all the other scriptures, all the Western scriptures are based. The Quran, the Bible, all the Jewish stories, the Megillah, this, that, and the other, all the Jewish stories. And the Yazidis is devil worship. And Satan's real name is Malik Taus, right? And you basically gonna have to read the Yazidis to get where I'm coming from, because the stories, like everything we've been told, is a lie. Everything we've been told in school is a lie. I saw the Star Trek program one time where they went to another planet, and everything that they were teaching to the kids was false information, but they didn't know it was false. Like our teachers don't know it's false. But once you start getting into research, you'll find out, you know, I mean, when you get deep, like if you're in a study group like we was in the city college, you'll call up authors to find out, you know, other things that they may know. And this is how many of the authors will speak to you. Like with me, you know, son, I got to tell you the truth. I not only did not write that book, I didn't read it. Okay? I not only did not write that book, I didn't read it. So they used the famous authors' names to say that this is what they and this is what they did, and this is the research that they did out to do. But basically, all we really learned that we can kind of count on is reading, writing, and arithmetic. Not the math. The math is false. Everything false. Our history of how we came over here from Africa, this, that, everything, especially the history, false. And historians had the highest clearance, because super duper secrets are there. So what is the other big secret? These native people of America mixed with Africans had all of the world come over here and rape the women, and even the men, but the men can't have children. So what do we got? The largest gene pool in the world. No one has a gene pool like we do. And we have the genes, not only from America, but Atlantis and Lemuria too. So we have the ability to ignite a 12-strand DNA, right? And become what we were, superhuman beings. But it's not going to happen the way they have inured us to live now, right? We in such a way, they came after the women because they couldn't. I mean, we were staying with each other. We wasn't going off being white. There's a few that was like that, but we weren't trying to get. If you saw a light-skinned woman, she was with a dark-skinned man. You saw a light-skinned guy, he's with a dark-skinned woman, you know? And so they like, we got to break this thing up. We got to do something here, because their genes are getting even more and more powerful, right? So now what y'all see on TV is every commercial, every movie, black and white together. Like this wasn't the next most racist country in the world after South Africa, right? And we see this thing. We see this homosexual thing. And nobody has any, well, I don't got nothing against homosexual, but you see this thing proliferating to poison the mind of the kids. To have you thinking that your DNA don't determine that you're a man or woman. You determine, you decide that if you're a man or a woman. This is how they're perpetuating. But what's in the background of all of this? What's in the background of what we're doing? We have the power to bring down God-conscious men to the earth and women to the earth. This is what we have the ability to do through this process I call divine conception. So what is it in essence? And so let's say you can't do the full process. So let's say you can't do the full process, but you can bring in a being that has total recall of mind, a super genius. You could bring in a person who has psychic abilities at birth, right? You can bring in higher entities if you're not able to follow the full process. What's the full process? Being able to stay celibate for 12 years, being able to eat only good food, You're going to have to get away from the chemtrails because they're doing a great deal. Every country is not, they're not spraying every country with the chemtrails, right? So the process got a little bit deeper because when I started this, they weren't spraying chemtrails like they are now, all right? You don't go after he's fine or she's fine. You don't use physical attributes to pick your mate, especially as a woman, and most especially as a man. You have to pick a mate, having knowledge of what you want to be, who you want to be the mother of your child, who you want to be the father of your child. Not he's fine. Oh, he's fine, so I get with him, you know, and all this kind of stuff. You pick a mate to build a family. Don't have a family happenstentially. You know, it just happened. That's the height of irresponsibility. You pick a mate to be a god. You pick a mate because he's expressing those qualities to you, and you looking to be a goddess. And don't get this stuff twisted, y'all. I mean, when I say a goddess, who is the goddess of earth? Women, womankind. The women on earth were so beautiful, so pure. If they spit on you, you'd be blessed. This is no exaggeration. I'm telling y'all straight away. The women of earth were so pure that not only did the gods come down here and have children with them, but the angels left their heavenly birth to come down and marry the women of earth. How beautiful and how pure they were. Okay, y'all get what I'm saying? Y'all with me?
Oh yeah, bro. We should have learned this in high school.
All right. So they knew if we can corrupt the woman, we could take down the man. Now, what is it about the man that they wanted so bad? See, initially, there was no women on the earth at all. There was no women here at all. There were only men, and the men were slaves. And what were they doing? Mining gold, because this is a gold-rich planet. That's what the women would. That's what the men were doing. Then they realized that the so-called gods were not gods. They were extraterrestrial who had, you know, powers and abilities far beyond us. But some of us had got away and went into the interior earth and just stayed away from these extraterrestrials, right? So they had us believing they were God, but then we found out they weren't gods. Now we're celibate all the time. We're powerful men now. We were fighting with the gods like nobody's business. I mean, there was wars between the gods and the men. And the gods were like, man, these bad boys are crazy. I mean, sometimes we win. We won. And they were like, we got to do something. You know, because the deal was we can't have our monkeys taking over the planet. We got to do something. Because if we don't, they're eventually going to win this battle of taking over the planet.
Sounds
so what
like
was their
Planet
plan?
of the Apes, man.
Yeah. Okay. Disclosure. Codified. Disclosure. Planet of Apes on the down low. You know, you got to see through what's really jumping off. So they said, look, let's bring women there. And we need a different kind of women for these boys because they're celibate, or they just generation after generation of being, and they long live, they're not dying. Look, these are powerful. We got to put women down there. So they put women on the earth. The story of Adam and Eve is allegorical to this reality. All right. And so they put women down here, but not no ordinary women. By y'all know that they ain't no ordinary women. The most beautiful, sweet Padminis. The earth was filled with Padminis. Padminis, the worst type of woman, was a Tritrini. And they were in a natural system because there was way more women than men, just like it is today. But they were in a natural polygamous system, right?
So where did the other two, the worst ones, that's presently a pandemic presence right now on the planet, where did they come from?
Lilith. They came from Lilith. Okay.
Wow.
The older woman. See, Lilith was the first wife of Adam. Eve was not the first wife.
Right.
Okay. Now these stories are allegorical, but they're telling disclosure. They're telling disclosure. Okay. So, oh man, if you read the hidden books of the Bible and boy, what a story you're gonna read. I mean, fantastic story. Eve said, "I'm not bowing down to him." I mean, I'm sorry, not Eve. Lilith said, "I'm not bowing down to him." He ain't no greater than me. And she went off, and guess who she got with? He's fine. And who was he's fine? Because he's real handsome now. Satan. That's who she got with. Okay? Now we get in the story. So God gave Adam another wife, Eve, who was a Padmini, and busted. As they got kicked out of the heavenly realms, they got together to get back to God. Their whole purpose of their marriage was to get back to God, not the bump, get it, and all this other foolishness and stupidity, right? Because if that's how you're living, it's like a form of suicide. And then let's take it to another level. If you don't learn tantra or the Tao of human sexuality, you're having sex like an animal. You're not having sex like a human being. You're having sex like an animal. The women never even heard of the ninth orgasmic level. And only a man can take you there, right? But that has to be a man who learned tantra. And what is tantra? Tantra is not a whole bunch of exotic positions. Tantra is the worship of the divine mother within your wife and in your husband, primarily for the purpose of bringing down a powerful child. So you got a powerful family. And then that family becomes a tribe. And that tribe becomes a city. And that city becomes a powerful nation. That's the purpose of relationships, to build a family. Not to be a whore for he's fine. Not to be community poontang. That's not what you get in relationships for. Not to think I'm gonna run around and do this and that as long as I want to. Then when I get 35, I decide to have a child. Not by somebody that you picked, just he's fine. Or this guy I met one night, and he doesn't meet up to really being a man. And the government loves it because it's part of their Willie Lynch syndrome, modern Willie Lynch syndrome for women of today, especially Black women. Because not only did we thwart their objective more than once, but the last time we did it, they said, this is enough of these niggas. We got to get rid of them. Right? That was the Civil War in America. Their plan was to break America up into so many countries. 15, 16 at the time. You had all the 13 colleges, you had the Louisiana Purchase, and you had the West, which Maximilian owned, who was the grandson of the Emperor Napoleon. That was their plan, split this place up into many countries. And it was the Black people that stopped that. Because once the North was losing the war, and the South was financed by the Rothschilds. And so their plan was to break this place up to many countries like in Europe. And we stopped that. So they were like, oh, you know what? We got to put an end to these niggas. We got to put an end to them, and we got to put an end to them. So let's implement this plan. The genocide of the Black man, an insidious program. Not one straight at your face, an insidious one. Lie to them about everything. And here's another thing I want y'all to keep in consideration. Most of y'all know that it was a capital offense to educate a Black man. Let me tell you why. Because they had us here as chattel. And they were breeding us to be long-lived, disease-resistant, and strong. They did not realize that what they were doing was create a superhuman being. Our intelligence was enhanced behind the things that they were doing, right? They were breeding us like they were breeding their animals. Put the best man with the best woman. This is what they were doing. And so they found out that we were so strong, it was like, we've created a superhuman being, and their intelligence is beyond any of ours. We have to bring them down. We have to make it a capital offense to educate them, because especially while they're young. Because if you do that and you keep the window of genius open in them, they're going to be super geniuses as they grow older. That's what's going to happen. They're going to be super geniuses. So it wasn't that they just hated us that they made it a capital offense. Their breeding process brought to their attention how powerful we would be if they kept doing it. And so this is what caused them to implement that law. If we catch any one of you educating one of them, it's going to be a capital offense. That's how powerful we was already hundreds of years ago. So what puts us in a position of being divine is we can tap into our DNA. Now, I want y'all to know, I haven't said anything in this particular book here yet, except the types of men and women. So they know that this is our power, a power we have not tapped, a power we are not using, or for the most part even know about, right? So as I came up with the system, now there was a codified system already, but it's like super secret. It's like the book I just told you, the Yazidis. You know, the average person is not on this level, and they're not thinking in this level. But that doesn't matter. We can get them to thinking in this level. We can get to proliferating this information. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about making ourselves like we should be, like our DNA really is saying. That, you know, the code in the DNA, the A, Z, T, all of that, right? That's written in the DNA. Well, in another language, what it says is God lives inside here. That's what it says. That's what that code is saying. So what we got to do is we got to tap those codes. What are the codes? Total recall, high propensity to being God, realizing yourself as God, having divine experiences when you're a child, and just they keep coming and coming and coming, having an inclination to be a wonderful, sweet, loving, kind person, acting like God while you're in your God state, which is the child state, right? All of that, right? So we're coming here as God beings, you know, and you see that in your children. They act godly, they're innocent, they're loving, they're kind, they are super forgiving. To forgive is automatic with a child. They just want to forgive any of their friends that's doing something bad to them. I'm talking about a child before 5, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. They'll forgive you in a nanosecond so they can keep playing and being that love of God, right? I'm putting on these glasses because I can't see y'all like in my screen here, although I got a TV in the back. That's why I'm looking up, and y'all see me looking up. Anyway, so what's the process? The science, the godlike science, right? So you do mantras, you do prayers, you do decrees, you do chanting, powerful chants. You do meditation and mantra, right? You purify yourself. You work on your character to be that godlike being. What do? The 5 yamas and niyamas. I got, you know, that written for anybody who wants to email me and I'll send it to you. Text me and I'll send it to you with your name and email. So these are the things that you do. But you got to check character. How do you check character? No criticism, condemnation, judgment, blame of any person, place, condition, or thing. This is a key factor, to say the least, of lying and things in that nature. All of that out of your character, right? Why are you doing it? You know, in this book, I got it broken down to every single thought and word or feeling that you express tears down your subtle nervous system, your subtle organizing nervous system. This system is an automatic system that builds up inside your body so it can hold a lunar germ. And what is a lunar germ? A lunar germ is like a Shakti. It starts out in the Kundalini at the base of the spine, and it travels up the spine, through the Sushumna, into the brain. Jadine, can you go in the meditation room in the back and give me that picture of the Minerva with the showing you the moment of the third eye? So it goes up into the spine, and what it does, it pushes the pituitary gland, which is the seat of the human, which is our seat, the seat of the soul, and it pushes it toward the pineal gland, and it starts to vibrate at a super duper high speed to the point where a halo comes around your head. It is esoterically known as the opening of the third eye, right? This is the process you're going through as you're doing what you're doing. This is the phenomenon. I hope y'all can see this well. Can you see it? Wait. That's the phenomenon right there. I see the glare of the lights in there. This is the Shakti coming up the spine. Let me go coming up the spine into the medulla oblongata. Can you move the lights for a second? Just move it, see if we can get that glare out. And this one over here too, right? This is all that work. This is what that work is doing. This is what it's doing. It's starting at the base of your spine, coming up through the neck, going through all the chakras. but it just looks like that light. It's some other light in that glare. Oh, it's the light from the camera. Okay. Going into the brain. The red is the pituitary gland. The blue is the pineal gland. Once it hits that and it vibrates, bam, the opening of the third eye. Let's turn it back on. The opening of the third eye. This is what you got. Thank you, my love. And so what? So this is the work. This is our work. But now this is the process that we're in as we're becoming these divine entities to bring in the divine. So why would you want? Now I want to let everybody here know that if you're not having children, you can teach this to your children. And if you are having children, you now know the science that you are responsible for. And every soul that's looking to come to you wants to come to be divine. And there is a huge amount of beings that want to take birth on earth right now through this science. Let me move on because I want y'all to hear this because it is fantastic. So you're practicing like this because the key objective of anyone who wants to be bring in a divine child is to become divine yourself, right? And as you're doing this, it's going right into, for men, it's going right into your gonads, right? It's going right into your sperm. You're waking up DNA that's trillions of years old. You're waking them up. And the way that this works is like, it's like a piano. You keep tapping it through mantras, through decrees, through your actions and through your behavior. Now you're waking up DNA that's tightly curled up inside of you. It starts to come open and blossom like a flower, and it expresses itself in the child to come, okay? But you're doing this through your prayers, decrees, mantras, meditation, changing your character, knowing that you got demons inside of you and dealing with them. You know, not only working to get them out of you, but loving them, you know, because it is part of you, like God loves us. No matter what we do, still loves us. You got to love your demons, all right? And you will change. They will merge inside you with their power and become the God, the light, all right? Boom. Check it. So you pick a mate through wisdom. You pick a mate wisely. And for a woman, how do you pick that mate? We're going to get into the man, but the women are on this panel tonight, so we want to hit this, and we want to hit it hard. This man is older than you. This man is on a spiritual path, and he has spent his time gaining prosperity and wealth and wisdom. He is not a knucklehead. And as you speak to him, he expressed to you that he knows the spirituality. He knows his history. He's confident in himself, and he loves himself. All right. His mother and father raised him, and through some happenstance that, you know, maybe they passed away or one wasn't there, because we're in a bad situation. So we gotta pick the good out of the bad, right?
Yo, Logie,
Yeah.
you're bringing up emotions with the audience and the sisters, the Shakti sisters. This is very powerful healing, brother.
Yeah.
This is really powerful healing.
This is the intent. So now it becomes the job of the sisters to pick a man, because it is a woman who make the relationships. A man can have sweet words, this, that, and the other, but if you really don't like him, he's out of there, right? It's the woman that makes a relationship. And here's the thing too. You got to approach him like this. You got to approach him like you are that Padmini, at the very least, a Chatrini, okay? All right. So you pick him, and you'll realize your relationship is going toward God. Well, where do you find such men and such women? In spiritual haunts, in temples, in ashrams, in holy places, in retreats that's doing spiritual work, people that's doing in retreats where they're doing grandma and grandpa. Y'all know what that is, right? All right, boom. Ayahuasca, bufo, wachuma. And the more you do it, you're being elevated a little bit more and more and more in your consciousness, okay? Boom. You're going for the divine. You're not playing. You really want to be a part of this process. And I'm going to tell you right now, God is looking for this to happen. God is looking for a Padmini and this spiritual man so that he could take birth through them. And all of the siddhas and ascended masters, they're looking for that too. Okay? Bust it, y'all. So you do this. and you're going to take 12 years. If you can't do 12, because that's a young girl, then do 9. You can't do 9, then do 7. Can't do 7, 5. Can't do 5, 3. It's going to be cut off at 3 to get super duper. But if you can't do 3, 16 months of being celibate. Of course, the longer you're celibate, the more power you have, the more time that you have to affect your DNA and your gonads, Logie in women, sperm in men. Okay. Now I got a video that shows the sperm process blown up 500,000 times. You wouldn't believe that every spermatozoa is a live conscious being programmed to get to that egg, right? And you can see some of the spermatozoa actually try to help other spermatozoa to get to the egg. Some of the spermatozoa are so stupid, they try to impregnate the fallopian wall. I mean, you just see it. Some of the spermatozoa, oh man, every level of what we see in humanity, we see there in that spermatozoa.
Knucklehead sperm trying to go a bit against the tree, huh?
Yeah, yeah. And you don't want that one to get birth. You don't want him impregnating that egg. Okay, boom. So let's get back to the process. So you do the process, right? My book explains the whole preparatory period, which is key to this, but it's not the only key, right? So the day comes, you pick the proper day. I got my glasses on because you're so small in my camera, and but I want to see you in this.
Don't worry, there. You can look up at the screen. Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to look weird looking up. Anyway, okay, boom. So now you went through the process, whether you're initiated for 12 years, and that's a young woman, right? Or 9, 7, 5, 3, boom, right? You're initiating this process. So now the day comes to have the holy ritual of love. The holy ritual of love for the precise purpose of bringing in a godlike being, okay? That's what you're doing it for. A soul who has a high propensity to be godlike, who has a high propensity to pursue the path. That's 1 in 100,000, just to let y'all know. All right, boom. So you figure out the right day and the right time. Let me tell you what is basically going on Earth right now. For people who want to have a child, they go out, they have dinner, right? They'll have some dead animals and their blood. That's the gravy, right? And that's the meat that you're eating. So they eat the carcasses of dead animals, drink their blood in the form of gravy, drink wine or liquor, then go back home to to have sex, to have a child. This is considered nowadays something beautiful. We actually went out to have a child. It's exactly how the Satanists have children. All right. So you don't want to do that, right? You want to fast before you do this. You definitely want to be celibate a good long time before you do this. You want to not be sustaining yourself off the carcasses of dead animals and their blood like Satanists, okay? You're living a pure life and you're eating pure food. So when this day comes and you're treating each other, not like husband and wife, like gods and goddesses, that's what you're doing, all right? So that there's this love between you. There's this love, right? So then you implement the holy ritual of love. Back in the days when kings have taken over the earth and they were god men, right? They were god men. When they had this holy ritual of love, they'd have a dozen Brahmins in the background, or holy men, chanting powerful chants like the Guru Gita, the Rudram, the Vishnu Sahasranam, all these powerful chants that could accomplish anything. And what would they do? They'd be chanting in the background. There'd be a screen so that you can't see the husband and the king and the queen laying to bring about this divine being as their child, but they are chanting in the background. If you can have that, wonderful, right? But nowadays we have technology, so you can have a tape in the background playing. And as you make love at this time with your man and your woman, what you do is you worship them as the goddess and the god within one another, because the goddess and God is within one another. What you are actually doing is you're igniting it. You wave the candles, under their feet, and around them 3 times, right? You're worshiping them like you would worship God, him, and herself, right? Then you pray to all the real gods, not extraterrestrials posing as gods, the real gods, the God of wealth, the God of righteousness, the supreme Lord of the universe, the King of the gods, and the Lord of the wind, the Lord of fire, all of them. And you ask them to bring these qualities into the incoming child. You're praying before that. Then you do decrees on top of that to force them in to your child, right? Because the prayer is supplementing. The decrees are acting as God, manifesting into your child. You're opening up the DNA in your child. Now, of course, the man must know Tantra, and the woman needs to know it too. But even if she doesn't know, if he knows it, that's enough, all right? And he takes her to the 9th orgasmic level, and they have a mutual orgasm, because the man can have an orgasm like that. The woman, it takes time, right? She has to be warmed up. Women are like water, men are like fire. It doesn't take us any effort to really have an orgasm. It takes a great deal of effort to have a woman go to the 9th orgasmic level and have an orgasm. But what you're doing now is having a mutual orgasm. Imagine the power you're putting into that child. Now let me say this. As you are making love, right? And this is going to last for a while. It's going to churn every single chakra within your system, from the Muladhara all the way up to the Sahasrara, and they're going to release their energies. They're going to release liquids that then immediately go down into the gonads, all right, of the man, right, and the woman, right? And all the while that you're making love, in the same way that the Shankanis and the Hastanis, they want you to curse at them and say all kinds of things to heighten their sexual experience, you're going to be repeating mantras that you got from a guru, that you got from a conscious, alive, conscious, spiritual being. And if you can't have that, then just repeat powerful mantras like Anala, Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om, whatever your system or whatever spiritual system you like, that, okay? That's the mantras that you both are going to say all the while you're making love, you know? And if you have no mantras, just say, I am love, I am love, I am love. All the while you're making love to your mate, this is what you're saying. And most especially for the woman, because now after this sperm is ejaculated within you, the job is all yours. All the father could do is help you go through the process in these 9 months, right? So when you do this and the woman is reaching that orgasm, the man needs to release with her, right? So you have a mutual orgasmic expression. Most of the women, right? Or I should say release. Most of the women conceive children without even having an orgasm, which is not going to bring you the most powerful child, okay? All right, bust it. When you do this, what you are literally doing is making the word flesh. Bam! That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. The word is literally going into that mutual orgasmic relationship. And let me tell you how it looks. Once you'll do this, it's like a tornado of energy that goes around you, that's over you. And when I say a tornado of energy, it's a tornado that comes like a cone. It comes down like a cone. And as you're making love, what it's starting to do, it's writing out the future of this child. And it sounds like this. It's like an electric sound, like, and there's a template that is started the moment you begin to make love. The template begins to form, and I got pictures of this, right? But what's happening is like this sound is going. It's on a subtle plane, and it's scripting into this child that you're conceiving what they're going to be in the future. And there is nothing that can stop this manifestation. Nothing can stop it. All right. And so as you're making love, and the longer you do it, the more you get to put into it. Right. Then when with this mutual orgasmic release, while the woman is on the highest level she could possibly be as far as the orgasm go, the 9th orgasmic level, you release. And what you're doing is making the word flesh, because as you're saying these mantras and this tornado is going around and scripting into this child, those words are captured up. They're electronically, magnetically pulled into this tornado of energy, which is God's, and it's starting scripting what this child is going to be. All right? And you're saying the mantra all along, the name of God all along. And what you have just done was made the word flesh into your child. Now, bust this. So that when the father releases into the mother, what happens is the spermatozoa does not go straight up and start the process. It doesn't do that. It coagulates inside the womb of the mother, right? And it starts giving off a sound. And y'all would never believe this. You can hear the sound in this video I'm telling you about. And the sound is Om. And Om in Vedic literature, or the Sanskrit literature, is I am. I am.
Facts.
I am. Right? That's what the sound. It's remarkable. It's like the sound of God is in now the womb of the mother. All right, boom. So now you got the spermatozoa. After about an hour of doing this, they just decide, okay, now it's time to go, yo. Boom. And they're going up into the fallopian tube. They're going toward that egg, right? And you see different characters with them, all kind of characters with these spermatozoa, and they're going for the egg, right? So now we're going to the process where and it's every kind of test for that spermatozoa to go up to get up to the womb. And then there's a two passageways. One is certain depth, the other is where the egg lies, right? And it chooses and which guarantees the intuition of the spermatozoa or the child to be, because you gotta have intuition to know which side to go. One is certain death, the other is to possible victory. But when that spermatozoa gets to the egg, it sees that other spermatozoa are surrounding that egg. And then what you have is a term called ranubandhana, which means excessive karma with this being that you're trying to bring in. Ranubandhana, excessive karma with this being that you're trying to bring in. All right, boom. Once that egg enters into, once the sperm enters into the egg, we all know no other sperm can get in there, right? There's like a light and a blast that goes off. And so the first thing that happens is you got the zygote. The first cell of the child is the zygote. And this child, or rather this cell, is the Christ cell. This is the Christ cell. Now, this is what I mean about it's the woman's. It's her job is, after this, it's all her. The man can do no more than take care of her, give her good food, protect her, all like that. His job is over. Her job is now key. So when that zygote splits, as we know, it splits, right? That Christ cell splits. If you're repeating the name of God, when that Christ cell is splitting, now you got two Christ cells. Generally, after that Christ cell splits, it's starting to be just that human thing again, right? But you're saying the name of God, boom, now you got two. She's saying the name of God, when it splits again, 4, you got 4. Saying the name of God, when they split again, you got 8, 16, 32, and so on, until you got trillions of cells. Now she got to go to sleep, but you could be playing tapes that she could hear all through the night, the name of God. We do this right here, you know, playing tapes. I got a room in the back where the mantra is going on 24 hours a day. Imagine how pure that room is. You can go into other dimensions in that room when you go to meditate. All right, boom. So now the mother is the key factor in this. But because of technology, you can be putting microphones on the womb of that child, teaching them everything, just like we saw when that movie with Superman, when he was being transported from here to Krypton. He was given all this knowledge by his father. His father had tapes of everything that humanity was. This is a secret. This is a secret. Now I got to tell you a story about a brain surgeon who became a teacher. Now, this brain surgeon was doing radical hemispherectomies, cutting out brains of kids, because if they didn't have parts of their brain cut out, they would die because of the seizures that they were having. His name is Glenn Doman, and people was coming from around the world to have these procedures done on their children, cutting open their skull and cutting out parts of their brains because the seizures and the maladies that they were having through this thing. Now, I mean, this is an internationally famous, the man on planet Earth, right? So as he did these radical hemispherectomies, right, what he started doing was he picked a little dot to like sort of, jumpstart their brain. So he was thinking, jumpstart their brain so that they could be just to learn again, to activate the brain, because he's figuring, look, I'm cutting out a chunk of brain here, a quarter of the brain here, some half of their brain cutting out, right? So he'd put a dot on a page and he'd put it up to him, put a dot, that dot represented 1. So it'd go 1, right? Then, you know, next day, dot 2. Next day, 3, you know, and start doing like this, 4, 5, 6, until hundreds of dots on the page. Then it would read to them, and it would be like, you know, 1 letter word, A, B, C, D, you know, like this. This is what he's doing. Then 2 letters, and, it, as, is, you know, all like that. 2 letters. Then 3 letters, R, U. So it's like this, bet, pet, ball, you know, like this, and going all up and up and up and up and up. Then he would test them to see if he, you know, jump-started the brain to be something close to normal, because some of these kids were retarded. All of them had serious brain problems. I mean, you know, just to try to get them, jumpstart the brain, just to get a normalcy, you know, of competence and a life. So when they got to be 5 years old, he tested them. Every single solitary child that he tested, that he did these radical hemispherectomies on, cutting out of the brain, tested on a genius level. Even the Down syndromes, the retarded, all of them tested on a genius level. So in other words, if you dropped a box of pens, they could look down at the box at a glance and tell you exactly how many pens were there. Like Rain Man, 365 pens. They could look up at a tree and tell you how many leaves at a glance is on that tree. Every single solitary child tested on the genius level. And so he was saying, what the hell happened here? Do we got too much brain? What is this? How could every child, when every one of these children had part of their brains cut out, how could every one of them be testing on a genius level? What happened? Do we got too much brain? What is it? Okay. So when he tested, what he found out, what he discovered was all children are born with genius level of intelligence. All children. What happens is we send them to school and they shut it down. And we do not, right, encourage it, because we know not. So we do not. We encourage it all through the process of the early years. Because the child is a genius, and you know this child is a genius because you put 12 people around that child, and not one of them do anything but talk to the child. Not only will the child pick up and understand every one of these languages, he'll be puissant in every one of these languages, speaking it with the accent and inclinations and everything about that language. He'll pick up 12 languages just like that without a lesson. Just like he picks up your 1 language without a lesson, okay? So now what we're talking about is opening up the genius that's in a child, keeping it going while they're infants and little child. But divine conception goes one deeper. They start educating the child in the womb. So if the child is this powerful when they come out of the womb, right? 1 day old, 2 day old, 3 day olds. Like I started with my son the first day he came home, right? And we had him in the birthing center. So the first day he came home was the first day he was alive, all right? And used the Glenn Doman process, because Glenn Doman became a teacher and no longer did these hemispherectomies. He led to somebody else, and he developed a process of how you educate a child when they come out of the womb. What about educating? Because we're now talking about divine conception. We're talking about a godly process, educating them in the womb. They're even more intelligent in the womb. They're more in that genius state in the womb. They're in that Christ state in the womb. And you'll be much more effective if you start teaching them in the womb everything I'm talking about. And you're going to teach them about God. And they know it's true, because children always believe what their mothers experience. You want to make sure that the mother's having no tragic experiences, nothing, no traumas. You want to help put it in a beautiful environment, where there's trees and there's nature in abundance. You want to have her in the most lovely environment while she's going through this process in 9 months. You want to also be doing your prayers, your decrees, your mantras, your chanting, your meditation, reading of scriptures and other spiritual books, okay? You want all that to be part of the womb empowerment experience for the purpose of the child that you're carrying in your womb. Then when you have that child, you do not take that child to no hospital where they're going to shoot them up with vaccines or anything, okay? Nature got the whole program undercover. You don't need these outside demons picking your child up out of the womb and smacking it on his butt to make it cry and all this kind of stuff. Child don't have to cry when it's born. You know it's alive when it opens up its eyes, all right? And then you follow the birth process, another ritual of bringing the Holy Spirit into the world, right? You dedicate that child the moment it's born with its umbilical cord on it and the placenta on it to God or the guru or whoever you see as the highest spirit. You wash that child, and if you follow this process, that child is going to come out so clean, you're not going to want to wash it. You understand? You could have it inside a tub of water too. Like many people, they birth their child right in the tub of water and they come out clean, right? What you're going to find out is what you have done is you have brought down a Holy Spirit. Now, after that, what do? Do you just leave that child in a demonic society like what we have now? No, you do not. You teach them the scriptures. You don't send them to these demonic schools where they make them a moron and believe in the most ridiculous concepts and theories, and then infuse him with nothing but a bunch of lies. Even to the math is lies. The arithmetic is relatively okay, but everything that child will learn in any of these demonic schools is lies. And don't think for 1 minute that they can't figure out how to educate a child on a high level. They know exactly what they're doing. These schools are designed to do exactly what they're doing, and that is to bring down the intelligence level of your child. Homeschool your child. New York is an excellent place to homeschool a child. I know this because that's what I did there, right? And all the museums have programs for kids. They got programs with the top-notch people in their fields, and they give you a certificate for every single solitary program. And what's good about it, you don't have the child around everybody the same age. This is not beneficial to the child. It is literally detrimental because it keeps that child in this bracket of age. If they're only with 5 years old, they act like 5 years old, 6, 7, all the way up. But if they're among a group of different age children or people, they mature on the level of the highest person in that group, okay? You train the child while it's young into the spiritual sciences. Whatever group you're in, whether you're Christian, Hindu, Muslim, Jew, you have that child doing work in that environment at least once out of the week. And if you're really fortunate, you can raise the child if the organization has these accommodations inside these holy places. I've seen these kids that came up in this way and how they act once they got to be teenagers. It's like, wow, look at this kid. You don't have none of this teenage, silliness and immaturity. They are mature. And they even tell you straight away, a child that is homeschooled is 5 to 10 years more advanced than their peers, children at their age. As far as their education will be on the level of professors, and the professors will not be able to deal with them. And I don't mean that arrogantly. I mean it directly. What's the best time to teach a child speed reading or photo reading? When they're 5 years old. And they will get it like that. You'll have a child that automatically has God-like mental abilities, physical beauty and abilities. You will have created a divine child. Now, if that child has a Christ-like master, or your family has a family guru, so to say, and when I say guru, I don't mean somebody teaches something. I mean a Christ-like man. Now, these children are nothing like ordinary children by any stretch of the imagination. Now, I'm telling you this for one reason. Imagine if 1,000 of us, because there's millions of us here, imagine if even 1,000 of us brought down children like this. And we had 10,000 that brought down on maybe a lesser level. And then another 20,000 that brought down on a lesser level, but they're still getting all this knowledge, right? what will our race look like then? What will our family look like? What will our city, our state, our country look like? What would this world look like? Jesus was one man, and he's affected the whole world. So did Muhammad. So did Buddha. Okay? So did Zoroaster. So did Sanat Kumar. But Sanat Kumar was not from this planet, though. That's a different story altogether. Imagine if we went into the process of saying, I'm going to bring God in my lineage. I'm going to perfect myself. I'm going to purify myself. I'm going to take this to the butter, no bread. In fact, I'm going to take it to the ghee, clarified butter, no bread. What will you have done? You have purified your lineage going back probably 25 back, maybe even 100 going forward, because that lineage is going to stay pure. Your lineage is now a divine lineage. Your lineage is going to be so tight, so powerful, so perfect. God himself may take birth in your family. This is what we're going for. This is what we talk about. The key. Now, look, I done talked a lot. I don't know how much time we got, but let's ask some questions. Okay, can we do that, Uncle Hank?
Man, you got the sisters, the Shakti sisters in Or. They're downloading the information. You can look at Sister Khadija and Autumn. They sopping this up like veggie gravy and a biscuit on Sunday morning with some hot grits.
I can see it in their eyes. I can see
Like,
it.
we ain't never heard nothing like this before. So I'm gonna let the Shakti goddesses share what they're feeling, or if they have any questions, I'll ask them first. And anyone in the chat, if you'd like to ask a question, please feel free.
Don't everybody speak at once.
Okay, let me see how to pose this question. I just want to thank you first for speaking on this. Last night I was already intending on tuning in, and then of course Hank messaged me and asked me to be here, so here I am.
And thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you to Khadija for being here. Wait. Ka Ma'at. Did I say it right, Khadija?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Thank you.
I got to spell it right now. Say it right.
So my question is, it has me thinking, when I conceived my children, I wasn't under the influence. I was in love with my partners, but we didn't go through.
Oh, okay.
Well, I have 3 kids. 2 of them have this.
Autumn, we can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear
okay,
me?
right. Now we can. Yeah.
Yes. So 3 kids, 2 fathers. My question is, I know that you mentioned that you're putting certain attributes into the DNA when you're making your children. So if you don't go about it the way that you express, the way that you express, then is there a way to rewire the DNA so that the children understand understand how to approach being gods and goddesses? I guess.
Yeah.
I understand that each person will have their own awakening, but do you train the child? Do you push them in that down that road, down that way? Or do you just let it transpire on its own?
The worst thing you could do, especially on planet Earth, is to let it transpire on their own.
Right.
Because the Satan is ruling here. And, you know, as you go to college, they'll have you believe, man, why would you think you're intelligent and you're going to believe in somebody like that? I mean, what, are you kidding me? Right? But this is a real entity. This is a real entity, and they're ruling here. You can see how they done turned America into Sodom and Gomorrah, you know, where women are bragging about having sex with 20, 30, 40 men. And at a time, not, you know, over their lifespan, That's like common now. I heard one girl bragging about having sex with 300 men in one night. I think she was lying, but to even think of that, why would you expose your divine body to that kind of concept? You definitely want to train them, because at any point of what I just told you, you can catch the child. Well, whether you catch it at the infancy and move on with this work, or whether you catch it when it's 5 years old. I was not born in this kind of family that I'm telling you about, which is part of the reason that I'm so into this. But my children were. And so when I was raising them, I raised them in the ashram. They had that tape on their womb, and my wife was reading scriptures to them in the womb. Right? So let's say you miss all this process, but you just learned about it now and you're pregnant now. Start the process then. Let's say you learn it right after the child is born. Start the process then. Let's say you learn it after the child is 5 years old. Start the process then. At no point is the process invalid, and it will have an effect. If you can move into an ashram or a holy place, a temple, or a holy environment, do it then. Give your child every chance to do what it was actually born to do. Every child, to become God conscious. That's the purpose of these births, to become God conscious. That's what we're here for. If you don't do it in this life, you're going to do it in the next. You're going to do it. Why not do it now?
Okay.
And the earlier you get to the child, the earlier you get to it, the more powerful you be. And the earliest time is before you conceive it.
I want to share with you, Autumn.
Yeah.
Your children are still in trance.
I know. So I was
So
going to
up
say,
until the age of 7, you can give them programs, affirmations while they're sleeping. You can give them even microdose like mushrooms that you put your intention in, and they will create a superior neural network between their heart, their left and right brain. This is what Dr. Sabi was also doing before he did his ascension. He was giving microdoses of psychedelic mushrooms, cubensis, what is it called? Psilocybin cubensis. He was giving like small amounts to children while they're still in that trance state up until the age of 7, so that they would have a development of a superior neural network to hold that God conscious state that Logie is sharing with us. So you you can do this and then download from YouTube. You can have them listening to trance music playing softly while they're sleeping, you know? Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead,
everything
Logie.
he's saying is absolutely true. And here's the other thing. What you want to keep away from your child is school. These schools, because it's in these schools that they start programming in this demonic way. They start programming to such a degree that they're making morons. And let me tell you what I mean. They start telling these kids that, you see all these stars in there, and these stars are planets, but the only place that there's life is planet Earth. An absolute bold-faced lie, and they know it. And well, the teachers may not know it, but the powers that be that's perpetuating this nonsense knows it. Now, just imagine this. So they tell you that there's stars out there, and all these stars have worlds around them, but only on this planet is there life, right? They're telling you that. How much of a moron would you have to be to believe that? Cockamamie bull. And the vast majority of the people on Earth do believe it because they've been trained to believe it. They've been trained to believe certain things. The police are our friends. There's no ghosts. Extraterrestrials do not exist. They're trained in so much that what you hear on TV from the news is the truth. All right? This is how moronic they got us. This is how brainwashed they got us. We have to come out of this brainwashing process for the sake of our child. Now, I see you got a small child there. At this point, you can definitely keep the child is a genius. And all you got to do is try it. All you got to do is try what I'm telling you now. Put 12 people around your child right now, all of them speaking different languages, and watch what happens to your child. Start training your child at this early age to have total recall. Watch what happens. Feed your child food that empowers its brain and its DNA, and watch what happens. Stop giving the child the carcasses of dead animals to eat and their blood, and then pray that they don't become demonic. Okay? Look, if you're giving the food to the children that the satanic worshipers feed to their children, what do you think is going to happen to them?
Yeah.
Little and small increments, you're putting them on the dark side of the force. Then do the opposite. Do the opposite. In fact, it's so bad in America right now, you might want to find another country to live in. And I mean that literally. The best place that I found for a melanated person to live in America is Hawaii. And especially for melanated. Because the Hawaiians are melanated. And it's just a beautiful environment. A great place to do your pregnancy, to experience your pregnancy would be Hawaii. There are other beautiful places. Switzerland is one of them. And Switzerland right now is the best country to live in. And we're thinking about moving there for part of the year while it's warm in the summertime, and then live like 3 places around the year. 3 countries or places. Hawaii is definitely going to be one of them. Switzerland will be another one, and some other country. I did this years ago. I went around the world to see what would be the best country for a Black person to live in. And what I found, the most congenial place was Hawaii. But that's particular to me. But you can find that place that's particular to you. You got 3 children now, right?
Yes.
How old is the oldest one?
She's 8. My other son is 4, and he just turned 1 yesterday.
The youngest one has the greatest potential to stay in the genius state. The 8-year-old just went out of the genius state, because especially if they were in the schools and you're now homeschooling them, they're training them to be out of there, teaching them 1 and 1 is 2 when they could be teaching them physics at that age. It doesn't matter to the kid what they learn, because they know nothing. All of this foolishness is by design. I would say this straight away. The worst thing you could do is put your child in a public or private school. And when I say private school, I mean top-notch private school, not just some Catholic school or this, that, and the other. They're teaching them to be morons. They're teaching them like they're idiots. 1 and 1 is 2. 2 and 2 are 4. When they could just equally teach them E equals MC squared and break it down to them what that means in the 1st grade. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. And if you follow the science, there's no way you cannot get the results. You're going to get the results, because what I'm talking about is a science. It's not a belief. It's a science. But now let's deal with this too. You think the Satanists aren't doing the same thing? They're not doing like I'm telling y'all they're doing it. They're doing it another way. How are they doing it? Well, from a very early age, they're having their children have sex. But the way they do it is they don't let their children have what do you call it? Sweet sex. They make sure it hurts all the time. They're using plastic dildos and all this thing and shoving it into them. Every time they do this, they're hurting the kid all the time. These are the type of things they're doing. And you can watch this video. They took most of them down, called a Hampstead cover-up that they had in Great Britain. Hampstead cover-up. They took most of the stuff down, but there's still some left, and they told you how they make demons. They're telling you how they make demons. Now, these 2 kids who was exposing what their father was having them do. Now, the father was using divine conception, but demonic conception. He picked a woman that was docile and easy to control and had children with her, and then paid for the kids to go to a private Catholic school. But the school was in a Catholic church, but they were only demonic activities in there. They learned mostly sex. And they was having sex with them. And then on Wednesdays, people came from out of the community and they would pay to have sex with these children. This is how the children were coming up. And I think the boy was 5 years old. The girl was like 8 years old. And they were telling it. You could see how super intelligent these kids were. and they were breaking it. They were saying, look, they had these cubby holes where they would take people inside there, the kids inside there, and they do it sex. And then one of the police asked them, well, how do you know this? They took me inside there and did sex with me, you know, like this. So understand that the demonic forces are doing this demonic conception, as I'm telling you, the divine conception. They're doing it, and they put their people in high positions. When I say high positions, presidents of countries, kings of countries, like this, prime ministers, governors, all this like this. Satanic worship is so prevalent in California, they gave California its own principality. And these people are all around you. You wouldn't even believe it, but they're smart enough to keep it secret. They're smart enough to keep it secret. One of the dictums of Saint Germain is to know, to do, and to keep silent. This is what's going on all around you, and you don't even know it. Let me give you another statistic that's going to blow your mind. 2,000 kids a day are kidnapped in America, and they're keeping it secret. 2,000 a day. So you need to watch your children like a hawk. And what are they doing with these children? They're torturing them. They're putting fear in them so that they could have adrenochrome, so that the fear brings up the adrenaline and the adrenochrome. Then they cut off these babies' heads and they drain out their body. They sell that blood at higher prices than they sell cocaine or heroin, and they keep it for their own self, and they live off it. It keeps them living longer and even more healthy. So you got to realize the satanic forces are out there and they ain't playing. And if you got no protection, you're not doing any prayers or decrees that protect you and your family, they don't go after one person. They take down you and your family. They ain't playing. We playing. So anyway, please, I need y'all to ask some questions, really, because I talked a long time and I didn't really want to just talk and not ask questions, but and that was a real big question. So at any part of the divine conception science you implement it, it's going to benefit the child. Somebody got to have some more questions.
Logie,
yeah.
Go ahead. Does somebody have a question? Because I'm going to pull it from the chat.
Okay. Yes, I actually I have two questions. The first question is, now the same concept that you would use for the child. Now everybody has an inner child within them. Would you be able to apply that to the healing of the inner child within an adult? And
yes.
The second question that I have is, you name the 4 types of women and the 5 types of men. Now, I did kind of look into it a little bit before getting into the live today, but I wanted to know, now, you know, the Padmini, right? The Lotus woman I was reading, the Padmini, the most desirable one. You know, would the other 3 be able to elevate themselves to Padmini?
Yes.
You know, or okay.
If they want to. I mean, if I look at my own self and they're telling me that, look, your son is going to be a gangster. He's only 12 now, but he's going to be a gangster. And I'm going to tell you this, these psychological profiles that they do on people and these dossiers that they do, they're not playing. And they are exact. What they tell you, expect to happen. There was something in that profile that they said also. He could also be a force of good. There's something in there that he could be a force of good. Let me tell you this. When Hitler had his people around him, he had astrology and numerology charts done on every one of them to see what their potential was and who they were. This government, don't think for 1 minute, is not doing that. They're doing that. So you could catch yourself at any point. There was a woman who was born as a prostitute. Her name was Patra. Her mother was a prostitute, but she became a saint. You got this guy, his name is John Rodriguez. He was born into a satanic family. He wrote a book, Armed and Extremely Dangerous, right? So that people would protect themselves. Now, he was living as a Satanist, and he was bad Mama Jama. The police was afraid of him. they locked him up and they'd be afraid. He could kill somebody from afar, right? With the things that he. Who's saying that?
Oh, sorry, that was me. I didn't
Oh.
know my son unmuted. My apology. I was talking to him.
So you can catch yourself at any point. In fact, there was a guy who his name, we're talking about over 1 million years ago. His name was Volmiki. He was a bandit. And one day he saw this man named Narada. Now, Narada is a mind-born child from Lord Brahma. So he was conceived out of the mind of one of the real gods. And he was on earth. Volmiki saw him, stuck him up. He said, Narada says, I don't got anything that I could give you except my vina, which is like a guitar-like instrument. He said, I'm taking that. And so Narada looks at the dude and he says, he knew he couldn't do anything to him, but Narada just goes around the world making human beings godlike beings, right? So he says, you really evil, ain't you? I'm a bad mama jama from Beekman Street. You mess with me, you bound to get beat. He didn't say that, but basically he's saying, yeah, I'm bad. He said, you so bad, I bet you can't even say the name of God. He said, say Rama. And what Volmiki found out was he couldn't even say. He was so evil, he couldn't even repeat the name of God. And in his mind, he broke down and started crying. And he was like, can you help me? He said, I'll tell you what. Repeat the name of God backwards. And he said, that's what I'm going to do. He said, I'm going to give him my evil ways right now. I'm not moving from the spot. I'm going to keep repeating the name of Rama backwards until I'm at least pure enough to say the name of God. And that's what he did. He just sat there. He didn't eat. He didn't do nothing but repeat the name of God. He was there so long that an anthill came up around him, and he was in there repeating the name of God. And the name of God at the time was Rama. And Narada told him to say Mara. And he starts saying it over and over again until Mara, 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 Mara. And he was saying God's name, Rama. And he was a holy saint by the end of this time. There's this great king in India named Shivaji. He was a bandit. He was going on robbing people. He became a great king. He didn't become a holy man, but he became a great king or a holy king, but he didn't become godlike. But he set up the country. He took it back from the Muslims so that the indigenous people there had their country back, right? At any time that you want to change yourself and you are determined, you can and you will. Doesn't mean you're going to be very, very successful, and the road is going to be tough, but you can do it. Did I answer your question?
Yes. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Logie, this is an incredible show. You got people in awe in the chat. Family, the contact information for Logie. He's teaching I Am Words of Power on Sundays, starting at 10:30 here on YouTube. Magnets, crystals, and pyramids. I highly suggest you learn the science of invoking your I am to manifest. Also, push the like button. Show your appreciation for this free sacred knowledge that he's been collecting for years, from going from gangster to guru. He's on his way to doing the book. I want to thank all the people in the chat. I want to thank the Shakti goddesses for their presence, the ones who are still here, Salika, Autumn, Kama'at. I want to thank you. Even the mommies that were here earlier, Emilola and Khadija. You know, the mamas had to bail out. I want to thank our sister Bliss for helping to promote this, to put this production together. And Logie, Sunday's program, look forward to setting it up, because this has been incredible. I mean, just listening to your story and then finding out your name is Lenny, that just blew me away, you know. And I just want to say that you're full of thanks and gratitude.
And Mills, and remember Mills like yours.
Yeah,
I told
family,
you we
man.
connected back there somewhere.
Yeah, man. That's it. Yeah, remember? My mom's side of the family, the Mills, North Carolina family.
Yeah.
Yep. for real. So we're gonna wrap it up. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank you, Logie. Thank all the audience now and in the future. Oh, Sunday it's 10:30. Let me put up the video that Miss Bliss created for the Sunday I am. So hold on. Yeah. And if you wish to manifest, family, I have found nothing accelerates manifestation faster than I am invocations. Yes, I am earthly wealth in abundance. Go ahead, brother.
I want to say something to Sister Autumn because I requested you to be here. I asked Hank to bring you on. I had a feeling that there was something jumping off. Although I didn't know you had a little child like you did, I knew you were a Scorpio. So I know that you're going to be putting this information into your child. Believe me, right now, that child is a genius.
Okay. Thank
you asked for more than just Autumn. You asked for the whole crew. So let's keep it 100.
But I did ask for her and Bliss. I asked for her and Bliss.
No, you said the whole gang. So I'm thanking.
I know, but I asked for them by name.
I am thanking you. Hold on, I'll bring her up because you said bring the whole gang. Here she is. Look at that face.
It is.
All right. You asked for Salika. Here she is. All right. You asked for Autumn. Here she is. You asked for Bliss. So don't act all humble now. You asked for the whole kit bang skaboodle.
I did. I did. I did.
Yeah,
and I appreciate you bringing them because it just helps the situation.
And I want to thank Salam for being on. I want to thank because she was like, she said, I'll do it for you, Uncle Hank. And I was like, thank you so much. And I want to thank you again, Autumn, Salika, Kama'at, Khadija, Zima, everyone who've been the Shakti, feminine goddess healing energy. You've been so generous, and may generous abundance flow into you in the ways you need and desire. And want to thank you again, Brother Logie, coming up on the 3-hour mark. We're gonna call it a day, man. I'm gonna wrap it up and do the closeout video, and see y'all Sunday. All right.
See you Sunday. Great. Yeah, thank you, Hank. Thank you, everybody in the audience. Thank you.
Yeah, this was incredible. This was movie. It was like he was telling a movie, man. It was literally like a movie. Good night, y'all. God bless. See you Sunday. Say often, yes, I am. Supreme shield of protection surrounding me. Yes, I am. Yes, I am remembering all I was going to do. Yes, I am. Take hold of your crystal, which will magnify your I am affirmations at least 600%. If you don't have a pistol, you better have a crystal.